Welcome, friends and listeners, Brandon Inquisitors. I'm Jake.
I'm Jax. We're your investiture investigators. Join us today as we dive into the Copper Mind.
Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yeah.
Elantris Chapter 7.
Through 9.
Yeah, I guess. Starting with Elantris Chapter 7.
Yep. How did your reading go?
It was good. It was, they were lighter chapters, for sure.
No, for sure.
Raoden's chapter is actually super short this week.
Yeah. We might actually get the whole episode in one episode.
In one part. That's gonna be crazy.
That's wild. We haven't done that yet.
No.
But
no, we've been trying to.
I think we will this time.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
And with that, let's just dive into the book.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we just hop right in?
I don't think so. I think we're doing good. How was your week?
It was good. It was good. We got a short week because it's the 4th of July weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I only had to work 3 days this week.
Me as well, which is fantastic.
Fantastic. Would be at work right now, but instead we're here.
Instead we're doing the pod.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
just another shout out to the followers, the listeners. Thank you guys for all your interaction, all your support, all the, likes, comments, follows, listening to Spotify.
Yeah.
We're glad you guys are enjoying the podcast as much as we are.
Yeah, we actually got a comment complaining about our our pronunciation. Wow.
Our pronunciation. Yep, that's we got a comment.
Our pronunciations, because I have a terrible memory.
Right.
And also the book's a little weird where like the pronunciation of the name doesn't usually line up with the pronunciation of the Aeon, because Aeon's pronunciations are very weird.
Right.
Like you always use like the
hard syllable.
The hard syllable, and you just don't always do that in a name.
Right.
So
forgive us for that. It should be getting better, especially as we do this longer, get more into the book, get more familiar with the pronunciation style.
Yeah.
And as we're not introducing so many new characters, that really should be much more of a non-issue going forward. So
yeah, and I'll just apologize because like it probably won't get better for me. It's just I suck at pronunciations and remembering names and everything. So like I'm always gonna be bad at it. But Jax will get better for sure. So
Jax isn't the problem.
You're so sorry. Okay. Let's hop right into the chapters. So top of the chapter, we got Aeon Sheo.
Which is an Aeon that I actually really like the look of. It's a pretty cool Aeon. Basically you've got two mirrored Aeons again, almost as in whatever our last Aeon was, Aeon Edo. Or Dio?
I think it was Edo for protection and safety.
Yeah. Yes, Aeon Edo. So it's almost the same as that, but instead of like touching in the corners, they overlap a little bit, and then you've got kind of circles on the end, creating kind of an hourglass shape. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like it. Any connection to Aeon Sheo for this one?
I mean, not particularly. Aeon Sheo's change and transformation.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anything really in these chapters specifically that tie a lot into that any more than the rest of the book.
Sure. I think if we're really like grasping for a connection, like Raoden kind of promotes change within Elantris a little bit.
Okay.
So
that
this chapter we meet Marishi, and it's the first like person that Raoden kind of like collects,
brings into the fold,
and we know like Raoden is very good at making people feel like they're not in Elantris as much. So like if we're really wanting a connection, you can kind of grab that, but other than that,
I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we start off last time we had a Raoden chapter. They kind of left us on the cliffhanger where Galadon had shown Raoden that the Aeons work.
Yeah,
and so yes, that you can draw them.
You can draw them, but that they don't work.
Yes. So we start into chapter 7, and Raoden is just practicing Aeons. Basically, he's just drawing Aeons in the air, trying to create any sort of effect. Basically,
yeah. and we see a little bit alluding to the fact that like you have to draw them perfectly.
Yes.
So it says like he moved very cautiously and careful not to let his finger waver. It's because like if you mess it up a little bit, then it'll just disappear and it won't work at all.
Yep.
So he's drawn some Aeons. Right now he's drawn Aeon Aishi for light and illumination, and all you get is like a tiny little flash. Not even really a flash. It like
Yeah, and I think that flash is more, it's not so much like the Aeon of light having any effect.
Yes.
It's every Aeon you draw sort of flashes at the end as if it's trying to initiate something,
and then it disappears.
and then dies.
Yep. Yeah, so it says the character brightened momentarily, seeming to pulse with life, then flashed weakly like a man heaving its last breath.
Kind of a banger line.
Kind of a banger line. It also kind of just like the Aeons are similar to the Elantrians as like they heaved their last breath, quote unquote, because Elantrians don't need to breathe
Right.
to survive. So kind of just little connections there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Galadon goes in and he says, "You're much better than that at that than I am, Suli. I usually make one line a little too big or slant it a bit too much, and the whole thing fades away before I'm done." And that's just another like telling us like, if you're not drawing this perfectly, if you make one line a little too big, you slant it a little too much, your Aeon is just invalidated and disappears even before you finish drawing it.
Yeah, so I think Chris, Duchess Kursala, when she's talking about Aeon Door, she mentions about how like you have to be very perfect and very specific.
Right.
And like you can't make, like it's a very exact art, is I think the wording she uses. And she says it's very unique compared to other types of invested arts.
Okay.
Which at a glance, yeah, like with you know, like Stormlight, you don't have to be perfect
Yeah.
in anything. With Allomancy, I guess with Hemalurgy, you gotta
there's
hit
a
it in
more
the right spot.
there's more precision in like creating hemalurgic like spikes, and placing them. But
I will say that in Allomancy, I'm currently in the Mistborn series in my personal read, and I remember a line that came up that was like, when maybe like swallowing the metal and like burning it doesn't take you know, perfection or specifics, but mixing the metals does. You know that each metal is an alloy where it's like, oh, this is tin, but it's actually, you know, 5% this metal and 80% this metal, and you know, and that the more exact you can get, the more powerful, or maybe powerful is not the right word, but I think like the duration lasts longer if it's perfect.
Well,
and
if it's not perfect, it makes you sick.
It makes you sick, but you can still burn it. Like if it's off a little bit, you can still burn it and use it, but to get like the best product and like the best use out of it, it has to be the perfect mixture.
Yeah.
So kind of, Chris, kind of not.
Yeah.
Like there
are other aspects
Yes.
of these other invested arts that need to be perfect, like an Aeon does.
Yeah.
Even if, you know, the execution of them isn't what needs to be perfect.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Raoden goes on and says, "It's not supposed to be like this." And I just like, for that for me was like, Raoden has prior experience. Because we know Raoden came to the city to be healed and has seen an Aeon work in like its glory, I guess, if you want to say that. And so he knows how this is supposed to work, what's supposed to happen. And so he's got that prior experience to know this isn't supposed to be like this.
Yeah, but it's also kind of like no dip. Like Elantrians aren't supposed to be zombies either.
Yeah.
But...
like, yeah, Raoden, we know it's not supposed to be like this.
Captain Obvious there. But yes, he does have the prior experience. I mean, and so does Galadon.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, he goes on to say his first acquaintance with the legendary magic of the Elantrians had been decidedly anticlimactic.
Yep.
So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, I'd be a little let down too.
Yep. So Galadon goes on to say that all you need to use Aondor is a steady hand and an intimate knowledge of the Aeons.
Mhm.
Which, like, yes, but you also need to be an Elantrian.
Right.
And you also need intent to use Aondor.
That's true.
You can't just, like, I guess it would be very hard to do, but you couldn't accidentally draw an Aeon and have it work.
Right.
You have to be like, I am drawing this Aeon to access Aondor.
Right. Like if an Elantrian just stuck their finger in the air and drew a straight line, that's the beginning of every Aeon. It's just a straight line across. But if they're just doing that throughout their day without the intent to draw an Aeon, nothing's going to happen.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So you're wrong, Galadon. I did mark here. They mention how it takes no incantations, no sacrifices, and no special potions or ingredients, which I thought it was interesting because Dakor
Yeah.
uses both incantations and sacrifices, and Hratham himself uses a special potion.
Yeah.
So, kind of foreshadowing that, hey, these are going to be used later, not by Elantrians, but
Interesting.
I just saw like, oh, we see all three of those in the book. So,
yeah.
Kind of cool.
Yep, it goes on, and Raoden talks about he could remember images of Elantris as a child, and it says visions of men flying through the air. And I caught that, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, we know from words of Brandon that given enough knowledge of the Aeons and enough, like, preparation and time, you can almost replicate any other, like, the effect of any other invested art through Aeondor.
Yeah.
So obviously we know there's other invested arts that can make men fly through the air. You know, Allomancy can do it. Surge Binding can do it. What Aeon is going to let you fly through the air?
I put Aeon Ahe.
Okay.
Which is air.
Okay.
So, I don't know, maybe it some Aeon Ahe as the base with some modifiers.
Yeah.
You know, maybe. Or it could be something more akin to Allomancy, where flying through the air means getting launched.
Yeah.
Rather than less Windrunner-y and more Mistborn-y.
Yeah. But I mean, Windrunners don't fly through the air.
No, they change
gravity, which I feel like you could potentially do with Aeons if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I think you could do both.
My thing with
what he's saying here, I imagined more Windrunner.
I imagined it more Windrunner as well, but that also begs the question to me of like, if you're gonna use an Aeon and change gravity, and then try to draw another Aeon while flying through the air to readjust gravity, what's that like? You know?
So I guess you're begging the question on whether the Aeon lines are connected to you or if they're connected to the land.
There's there's that question, but even if they are connected to you and not to like the point in space that you're drawing them, so if you're flying, you can draw an Aeon and it's staying there
with you. Yeah,
you're falling through the air. Trying to like draw straight lines with the perfection that Aeondor requires while falling through the air is kind of crazy.
Well, you probably just have. Well, I would assume you would have some stuff ready. Like, I don't think these Elantrians are drawing an Aeon, flying through the air, and then drawing an Aeon in the air to stop. I assume it's more...
They've got a talisman or something.
It's more akin to, like, their Aeon Tia, where they have something built, and hey, if you activate this Aeon, it'll teleport you to this spot.
Yeah.
I assume they would like, oh, here's your flying necklace, and you tap this side to go up, and this side, would be what I assume. Unless we're like completely misunderstanding how Aeons are used and like the extent of what you can do with them.
Yeah.
I don't think people are flying through the air like, and like trying to quickly draw Aeon gravity,
Yeah. I'm excited to hopefully see more of that in the second book and see. Like, I'm excited to learn more about Aeon Door and how it works.
Me too. This is like one of the most moldable power systems we have, because it is canon that not all the Aeons have been discovered.
Right.
So no matter what direction Brandon wants to take Aeon Door, he can take it in that direction pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see, you know, what Aeons, because I'm sure Raoden after this book is like hard studying and is going to discover a lot of Aeons.
Yeah.
So anyways, moving on.
Moving on. They're in the study. They're still drawing. You know, he's drawing Aeons, and then he looks over. He sees Galadon's books again. You know, and he says, like, maybe the answer is in here, Galadon, like in these books somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Galadon's like, yeah, maybe. And Raoden asks, like, why were you so reluctant to bring me here? And he goes, it's special, Suli. Surely you can see that. Let the secret out, and I won't be able to leave for fear it will be pillaged while I'm gone, which is a valid concern.
Yeah.
Because they've already, like, boiled books to eat. And so if people know that there's books here that can be eaten, valid concern that it might be pillaged while he's gone. So not, like, a bad response, but not the truth.
No.
Not the full truth from Galadon.
And then Raoden's kind of like, why did you bring me here? And Galadon kind of shrugged, and he was like, you aren't the first to think the answer might be in those books. 2 men can read more quickly than one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I wrote as a rare bit of optimism for Galadon, who's usually a very pessimistic doula.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, well, maybe we will find an answer, you know, with you here, sort of thing. So, rare bit of optimism for Galadon.
Yep. And then Raoden asks, like, why do you keep it so dark in here? And Galadon's like, Suli, we're in Elantris. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I've got a very limited store of oil. And Raoden's still just not completely understanding where he's at and what's going on. He's like, well, surely they had storehouses of oil and whatnot. And Galadon's like, Suli, like, this was Elantris. They could make whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. They didn't store anything. There's one well. Suli, like,
yeah, I highlighted that part and just wrote, bro, how thick are you? Because the amount of times Galadon's kind of like explained how it was in Elantris and how it is now, and he just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. And part of it's probably Brandon just like answering questions so they don't get asked later by people who don't get it.
Yeah, he's making Raoden ignorant in order for, like,
so he doesn't get to prevent ignorant people asking these sort of questions later. Like, I'm sure if he didn't put this in, someone would have read this book and been like, well, wouldn't Elantris have stores of oil and food and material and stuff? And it would just be like, no.
I'll be honest, I'm sure somebody asked it anyway.
You're probably right. You're probably right. So he's just like, dude, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, they could do anything. Aeon Door can do anything.
Yeah.
And, like, the Elantrians did. They did everything they needed. They used Aeon Door for, basically.
Yeah, he pointed to the wall where there's this big, like, Aeon Aishi on the wall, and he's like, that's where the light is, Suli.
That's a light.
Turn it on.
Yeah. Dude, they didn't even have, like, handles for this door. There's an Aeon to open the door, you know? Like,
so he says, without Aeon Door, this city is barely fit to be inhabited.
Yeah.
Which is just unfortunate, you know? Like,
I would argue not even barely fit. It's not fit to be inhabited.
For anybody who's not a Rio Elantrian, you're not going to survive.
Yeah. Well, even like Elantris, like pre-Rioed, if you took away all the Aeon stuff, I don't think anyone could live there.
Yeah.
Realistically.
I mean,
like other than Elantrians.
Yes, exactly. Other than people who don't need to eat.
Yeah.
It's not a city that's fit to be lived in.
Yeah. And then Raoden's thoughts get interrupted by pain from his stomach. So kind of reminding us about the hunger But also I wrote door attack question mark because we know
Yeah.
for like Elantrians, all the pain and the hunger, at least the way Galadon describes it, and he will later in the book as well, is like it doesn't ever end. It doesn't come in waves. It's just constantly there.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Raoden to be like fine, doing his stuff and then get interrupted by a pain in his stomach, it's almost like, oh, it's new and it got interrupted.
Yeah.
So we know that Raoden, the door's kind of trying to use Raoden as like is release valve.
Yeah.
It's trying to force its way to the physical realm through Raoden for some reason.
Yeah, and it's because I'm also in the middle of Mistborn in my personal reading. I'm in the first book right now, and it kind of gives me the same vibes as Ruin, like talking to Vin and
Sure.
like cultivating that for Vin to eventually release Ruin. Now obviously we know Ruin has a shard still and therefore has a little bit more intent or like autonomy, like ability to affect things, whereas the door is more
It's just pure investiture.
it's pure investiture. But I feel like it feels that Raoden can be the person to release it, and so kind of is like trying to funnel its way through him, I guess, is kind of my take on it.
I guess, like, you think Raoden's more connected to the door
He's
than other
the
people?
hero of ages of Elantris,
I
like
guess. I don't know if I would go that far, but anyways, his thoughts get interrupted by his stomach. He said it wasn't like the hunger he had experienced on the outside. His stomach didn't rumble, yet the pain was there. Somehow even more demanding.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. That sounds like a door attack to me.
Yeah, could be the beginnings of a mild door attack.
Yeah.
It also talks here, it's a little bit more of the foreshadowing that you missed your first 3 times through the book, where because you had talked about how it never talked about like the land shattering.
Oh, does it talk about it again?
Yeah, it's right. It's right here. It says, Raoden rubbed his finger against the plate, feeling the lines of Aeon Aishi. Something catastrophic must have happened. An event lost in just 10 brief years' time. Something so terrible it caused the land to shatter and gods to stumble. And it's right there.
Dude. It's a good thing we're doing this, because, dude, I didn't even... Here's the bigger problem. Didn't have that marked.
Didn't catch it on the reread.
Didn't catch it on the deep dive reread, So I'm glad you're here, because I totally missed that again.
Yes, and it goes on to say, however, without an understanding of how Aeon Door had worked, he couldn't even begin to imagine what had caused it to fail. And this is where we know Sereni becomes super important, because Raoden doesn't realize that Aeon is a map of the land.
And yet Serene's tutor did.
Yes. So, and I feel like it was probably common knowledge as far as like the Aeons go, as far as the Elantrians go. It was common knowledge to the point that it stopped being taught. Whereas in Teod, it probably was less common knowledge and continued to be taught. It would kind of be how I feel about it. Like, it was so prevalent in Erelon and they knew it to the point that it just didn't. Nobody thought to tell anybody because everybody knew.
Yeah, either that or Serene's tutor is just like saw Aeon and was like, what's a tip to help people remember?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it looks like Erelon.
Yeah.
It could be either way. I think it's funny because, like, maybe it's because I have like prior knowledge of this, and like it's rose tinted glasses, hindsight's 2020. But I feel like if I studied like this magic system and the base to every Aeon was like, we live in Utah. Like, if the base to every Aeon was like a big circle and then a line to a smaller circle and then like a curved line on the side, I would be like It's Utah. It's
Yeah,
the It's Rocky Mountains, Great Salt Lake, Utah Lake, Jordan River. Like, I feel like I would see that,
yeah,
but it's probably just like hindsight's 2020 and like whatever. But I feel like I would see that. I feel like it's not that hard to see that.
yeah. And especially for someone who, as Crown Prince of Arelon, he's probably seen a map. You know, like
Maybe once or twice, you know.
he probably knows the lay of the land. He's probably traveled extensively throughout
He's
the land.
probably memorized most areas in Arelon because, like, to him, he's preparing to become king,
Right.
and so yeah, you're gonna want to know your land, and so I feel like he would have studied maps decently extensively.
Yeah.
I don't know if those two words go together.
Decently extensively. We'll roll with it.
Cool. Anyways, just like do better, I guess. Raoden.
I guess. I don't know. Anyway, he says, "Come," he said to Galadon. "There's something we need to do."
They head to the square because they're waiting to see if someone gets thrown into Elantris.
Right.
And they see Hrathen up on the wall doing his little sermon that we'll actually see in Serene's chapter later.
Yes.
And he's yelling. His sermon's like talking towards the Elantrians, but he's not actually talking to the Elantrians. He's wanting this group of
he's like
people
preaching to the people on the wall.
Yeah. So Raoden looks up and sees him and is kind of just like, who the heck's that? Like what is he doing? Like I can hear him yelling, but I can't hear what he's saying. And Galadon's just like, oh, it's a Derethi Gjorn. And even Galadon, which presumably lived most of his life in Duladel, is surprised to see one in Arelon.
Right. Why does it matter that he lived most of his life in Duladel?
I'm just saying, like, even a quote-unquote outsider would be surprised to see a Gjorn in Arelon. That's how, like, different and special Hrathen being there is.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry if I didn't.
No, you're all good. I thought you were just saying because, like, Duladel is under Fjordell rule.
Oh, no.
But Galadon doesn't know that.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, he was like, I'm surprised one would come this far west. They hated Arelon even before the Riot. And I thought that was interesting that, like, it's not just the fall of Elantris or post-Riot. Like, even before the Riot, they hated Arelon.
Yeah, and it's because of the Elantrians. It's mostly because they could never take over Arelon because Elantris was so strong.
Yes.
So, yep, they've always hated Arelon, which, I mean, not surprising. And he's kind of like, well, what the heck is he doing? You know? And Galadon's like, probably preaching. He's a priest. That's kind of their thing. Priests preach. And actually Galadon hits the nail right on the head here. He's probably denouncing Elantris as some sort of judgment from his god. Bop.
Nailed it.
Because that's exactly what he's doing.
Yes. Yeah, he's trying to get the people of Arelon to hate Elantrians and Elantris, because that is kind of the focal point of what he's going to be doing in order to overthrow the government, more or less.
Yes. And so Raoden's kind of like, there's people who still pray for Elantrians to return. And that, like, the city was strong and it was so beautiful. And Galadon's like, I know, Suli.
Like, no, I know.
No, like, because I know.
No, I know. But Galadon is surprised. He's like, there's still people who are waiting for Elantris to return.
Yeah.
He's like, I feel like those beliefs would have been gone after 10 years.
Yeah, which, samesies, I think. You know, like,
fair.
You have your gods turn into corpses and you sit there for 10 years and be like, they're
testing me.
They're coming back. It's all a test. So, no, I agree with Galadon. I feel like most of those people would have moved on.
Yeah. But Raoden then comes back to Galadon. He's like, you don't understand. Like, you don't realize how beautiful this place once was. He says, even yet, there are many who pray for or fear the Elantrians' return. The city was strong. You can't know how beautiful it once was. And again, Galadon's like,
I know. No, I know.
He's like, I didn't spend all my life in Duladel. And we know that Galadon didn't spend most his life in Duladel.
Yeah.
But
anyways, so they go to the gates and they are like, do you think anyone's gonna get thrown in? And Galadon's like, well, roll the dice, dude. Like,
he's like, sometimes weeks go by and we get nobody. And then he says sometimes 5 get thrown in one day.
Yeah.
You know, like
so there was a person that got thrown in, and it's Marishi. We love Marishi.
We do.
And
Tiorin.
Yes. Is he?
No.
Oh.
No, that's how.
Huh?
That's how Raoden grabs him the very first time.
Missed that. I thought you were saying he was from Teod.
No.
I was like,
I
didn't know people from Teod were called Tiorin.
No, they're Teodish? Teodish? Teods. They're Teods.
Yeah.
Toish, I think. I think they're Toish.
Toish?
No, so they go up, somebody gets thrown into the gates, and Raoden is like, all right, I got this. And so he just like walks up to the guy and he's like, Tiorin!
Well, he waits for him to take a step first.
Oh, yeah.
And he takes a step in Sheor's direction.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm not going to let Sheor's men, like beat this guy. So Raoden then steps up to like save him. And he uses the most common, apparently it's a very common Aeonic name.
Yeah.
And it's Teorin.
Teorin? I guess we shouldn't be like, sorry about the pronunciation. We're working on it. Tiorin, which is, again, Aeon Tio, which is the same as Teod or Eventio.
Royal Majestic.
Yeah. And the guy looks around in confusion.
Yeah.
And Raoden repeats it again, like, Tiorin, it is you! Like, yeah. And this guy's got to be thinking, like, what is going on?
It's pretty much, he's just using the name as an excuse to, like, walk up to him and get close to him and kind of confuse the 3 gangs.
Yes.
And so he walks up to him and he whispers to him, he's like, you have to listen to me.
Yeah.
Like, those men over
live.
there. Yeah, those men over there are about to come beat you senseless.
Yeah.
So do what I said. And then Tiorin's or Marishi is like, okay, what do I do? And then Raoden is just like, run. And so they take off. They take off down a side street. Galadon's like, runs off after them. And then the Sheor's men start chasing them.
Yes.
And then Galadon goes, what in the name of Dolakin do you think you're doing, you idiot? Which is funny that he doesn't use Kayana. He says, you idiot.
Yeah.
Or I guess Kayana's crazy. What is it? Rulo?
Rulo.
Yeah. Or I guess Rulo's fool, but kind of samesies. Anyways, Dolakin means hell.
Okay, interesting.
Which doesn't super make sense in like how he used it. Like, what in the name of hell?
I wonder if it's something similar to...
It's just a curse, I guess.
It's a curse, but I wonder if it's something similar to like Greek, where Hades for them is the name of like the god and also the name of like the underworld.
Okay.
So, like, you could say like what in the name of Hades, and like Hades for them is hell, but it's also the name of the god that rules hell. So maybe something like that.
And I don't know enough about the Jesker religion to really...
me neither.
To really know. No one does.
It's dead.
Brandon,
it's a dead religion.
Yeah, but also Brandon just hasn't told us enough about it. So it's like...
And I don't think he will. It died.
It might come back.
Okay. Maybe.
We'll see.
All right.
Okay.
That's actually something I'd be interested in, is like, yeah, Elantris comes back and can defend Erelon, but we already know that the further you get away from Elantris, the weaker your Aeons are. So are the Elantrians, are the Aerolines going to like reclaim the rest of the land
No.
from the Fjordell Empire, or are they just gonna kind of let them do them and they'll just stay in Erelon?
I don't think Elantris is an offensive tool.
Okay.
And also, because especially with how the Fjordell Empire did it this time around, they didn't invade these countries. They basically made situations where the rulers of these countries just identify as followers of Shutirith.
Okay.
So there's nothing for really like what even if Erelon like marched on Duladel, what would they do? Just kill the king and put another person there?
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't think reclaiming quote unquote the land from the Fjordell Empire is anywhere on Erelon's agenda.
All right. Interesting.
Anyways, so they start running, and Raoden leads them to a building where there's stairs leading up to the roof, and the stairs are like barely holding on.
Yeah.
So they get to the roof, shove a pile of bricks down the stairs collapse so that Sheor's men can't reach them.
Yeah. And then Raoden takes the offering from Marishi, stuffs a little bit of it away, and then throws the rest down to Sheor's men.
Yep. And we know that little bit is the seed corn that they get thrown in. So Raoden is collecting seed corn because eventually his plan is to grow food in Elantris.
Cool.
So, yep, we see him grab that. And Galadon's kind of like, what now, genius? You know, because they're trapped on a roof.
Yeah.
And Sheor's men are below.
And Raoden's like, well, we can live forever without food and water, right?
Yeah, like we can stay here until they leave, sort of thing. Which I think it's funny that Galadon's kind of just like that. They might stay down there. Like, we don't know when they're going to leave, but we kind of do because they're probably
They'll be gone by tomorrow.
Yeah, they're probably going to the gates tomorrow to see if there's a new person thrown in.
Yeah.
So,
my question here is, how did they get down?
I know, right?
Like, you just stranded yourself on a rooftop, you collapse the stairway, and you're an Elantrian, which means if you jump down and roll an ankle...
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume Galadon probably gets down first because he's like the most well-muscled.
Yeah.
I assume he could like hang off the edge, lower himself enough to where he feels comfortable hopping down, and then they can just help each other get down. But it's true, like we don't see them.
Yeah, we never see him get down.
So, yeah.
But Raoden also scraped his hand while he was pushing over those bricks, and he can feel that scrape. It's not as bad as his toe, but he can already tell like this is gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
You know, like And so he's just started, he says, I have to keep moving, Raoden repeated to himself. Keep working, don't let the pain take control. Which is almost like really close to a Hoid mantra.
Kind of,
but like the inverse is like his mantra to keep himself from going Hoid.
Yeah,
so I thought
his
that was
anti-Hoid mantra.
Yeah.
Keep going. We then get introduced to Marishi, finally, and we learn that he's a jeweler. And Raoden and Galadon are like, that sucks. Like, that's not useful at all. But it turns out that Marishi becomes super useful because he's just like a master craftsman.
Yes, artisan.
He
can make anything according to himself.
Yep. Are you looking for the Aeon?
Yeah, I already found one. So there's actually two in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch the second one the first time I went through. So there's Aeon Avery, which is the same as Erelon, unity and cohesion.
Yep.
But there's also Aeon Ishi, which is gift and endowment, same as Ishen.
So like his Aeons actually work with his profession decently well. Gift and endowment and cohesion and unity when you're like building stuff.
Yeah. He's not listed under Aeon Avery in like the index. The one he's listed under is Aeon Ishi. So I wonder if like the Aeon Avery in there is just a coincidence.
Yeah, it might be. But aren't all Aeons and names kind of just
Well, I
coincidences?
feel like their names are based on Aeons, and I feel like his Aeon is Ishii, and the fact that there is an Aeon Aerie in there is just like purely coincidental. Like it's not an Aeon. So Marishi is not May Aerie Ishii. It's just Mar Ishii. And anyway, not important.
Sure. Are you saying that in the context of like when his parents named him,
Yes.
they were naming him for Ishii and not Eri?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. He just gives a little bonus.
All right.
And he goes on, he's like, jewelry making is an extremely useful skill, sir. Which maybe not in Rio de Elantris,
Yeah, and that's what
But-
Galadon comes back with. He's like,
Yeah.
not an Elantris, Suli.
but maybe in New Elantris, because like Aeons need very like precision, and we know you can create Aeons into like you can carve an Aeon into a stone, and that Aeon will work. So I wonder if
Okay.
Marishi goes on to like make jewelry with certain Aeons that then people can like use,
Interesting.
which
Yeah.
I think would be sick.
Yeah.
You just have a ring that like has, I don't know, the Aeon for water, and you're just like, I'm thirsty. You know?
Okay. All right.
Anyways,
Cool,
I
cool,
don't you know, maybe he becomes more useful with his jewelry making later.
Yeah. So then they talk to him about shoes, and he scoffs a little bit at the idea, like, I suppose I could, though such hardly demands the skill of a man who is a full artisan. And Galadon goes, he's like, and a full idiot. And he stops. Like, Raoden stops him. He's about to call him an idiot.
I love Galadon.
We love Galadon.
Yeah.
But then Raoden goes on to explain to him, like, okay, well, in Rio de Elantris, this has to be done perfectly the first time, because if you make someone shoes and they don't fit right and they give them blisters, those will last forever.
Yep.
And
So-
he's like, forever?
And you no longer heal. And yeah, you no longer heal. So I was wondering why more people in Rio de Elantris don't wear like cloth wraps around their hands.
Cloth from where, dude?
Not like they're in a shroud. They can like
Okay.
tear some cloth off or whatever.
All right.
Just wrap it around their hands for like extra protection, or like wrap it around their feet.
It'd be, yeah.
Because I don't feel like cloth tied around your feet would necessarily rub or like give you blisters or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder like why don't people do that?
Yeah.
I feel like I would have done that. Throw me in Elantris, coach. Like, put me in.
Put me in, coach.
I would be a banger Elantrian.
I would recognize that the Aeons are part of the land. Like, I'd recognize the map.
100%. Yeah. Coach, don't put me in. Keep me on the bench. I don't want to be a Rio de Elantrian. Like, I'm fine.
Oh, man.
So he's like, yeah, I could probably do it. And yeah, Marishi's like, nothing's beyond my ability. He's kind of hoity-toity a little bit.
Yeah.
He's very like proud of his abilities, and as he should be.
As he should be.
He makes some banger
I
shoes,
think
dude.
he makes some good shoes. I think he is actually a really good artisan. But yeah, he says, if you say so, master. And Raoden now creates, because Galadon's just been calling him Suli this whole time. So
Yeah.
Raoden now creates his name, and he says, you can call me Master Spirit.
Awesome.
Could have chosen a better alias.
Yeah, you're not really hiding who you are, Raoden,
Yeah.
which was kind of the whole point.
Of using an alias.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marishi's eyes narrowed. He says, you look familiar for some reason. And Raoden, you never see me a day.
You don't know me, guy. Stop thinking about it.
Yeah, it's probably not true. Anyway, that's Raoden's chapter. Unless you have
Yeah.
anything else to add.
Nope. But Galadon's already enjoying himself, so that's how it ends.
Oh,
Galadon's like, oh, it's because they're they're still waiting.
they're still waiting, and
Galadon,
it's the whole like cliche, like, yeah, we're up on a rooftop and all this, but at least things can't get worse. And then it starts raining on them, you know.
so Galadon's like, fantastic. I'm already enjoying myself.
Yep.
And that was Brandon's chapter.
That's
So,
right in chapter.
super short. We kind of probably made it longer than it
Made it
needed.
longer than it needed to be for sure. That was only like what 6 pages.
Yeah. But we're on to Shalon.
No, we're not.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
Well,
not.
We're not for 2 reasons. One, it's time for what did he say? 2, this is not Shalon, it's Serini.
Ah! I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so terrible at this.
But before we get to Sereni's chapter,
I spent too much time in the copper mine. Shalon's name comes up.
it's time for what did he say?
What did he say?
For those of you who have been following along, what did he say is our segment where one of us will find a words of Brandon, ask the question to the other, and the other will then attempt to answer the question for a point. We will be keeping track of our points throughout the entire podcast. Right now, the points stand 1-0. Jacob is winning.
I am winning.
But it's my turn to answer a question, so it's time for me to tie up the score. Jacob's shaking his head like there's no way I'm getting this.
You can.
I can.
So, I found a really fun one, but it's very hard to answer specifically. So I'm gonna throw you a bone.
Okay.
You're gonna have to name 2 names.
Okay.
If you get one of them,
Oh.
you can get a point.
Okay.
And I think you might. I think it's funny. We're probably gonna finish Elantris, and the score is gonna be like 2-2 or something, because it's we kind of suck at this. So
I gave you such an easy one last week. You have like a 1 in 3,
Dude,
no, like a 2 in 3 chance.
So bad. It was so bad. Anyways, what did he say? This is a Words of Brandon from 2020 and a YouTube live stream. Questioner says, what are 2 Cosmere characters that have never met and maybe never will that you would be most excited to write a scene involving?
Oh gosh.
So you have basically any character from two characters, anyone from the Cosmere. If he could pick 2 characters from any books and put them in a room together and write a scene about them, who would he do? And like I said, as long as you get one of them, I think I'm willing to give you a point, because it's kind of a broad.
That is so broad.
Yeah. So that is the question.
And I just want to know like how obscure he went, if he did like mainstream characters. I think I already have an answer, and I think I'm not going to draw this out too long.
I think everyone watching, including you and including me, have an answer. Because when I first read this, I had an answer instantly.
Yeah.
And I think you had the same answer.
Okay.
And I think most of these guys had the same answer.
Ben, it's the wrong answer.
I'm not going to say if it's the right or wrong.
Oh, okay.
Answer. But if you feel ready to guess, go ahead.
Ooh.
Am I playing mind games? Maybe a tiny bit, but I didn't mean to.
I'm going to say Vin and Kaladin.
Vin and Kaladin.
Wildly wrong.
Wildly wrong. While I would love that.
Because here's the thing, is like you said, like people that will likely never meet. We know that Vin and Kaladin will.
Well, that was just the questioner saying like they've never met and
likely
and maybe never will.
So is Kelsey or one of them?
No.
Oh, okay.
You're terrible at this. Okay, I'll give you.
What was your answer?
My answer was the Lopin and Wayne.
That's fair. That's a fair
Which-
answer.
I hope it was most people. If you read the whole Cosmere, I hope that was your answer. Because we all need that in our lives.
I don't think we do.
I need that.
I think they're the same person. I don't think we need to see them in a room together.
Not the same person. Just because Michael Kramer. Michael? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because Michael Kramer uses the same voice for them doesn't mean they're the same people. Anyways, Brandon said it's Lift and Wayne. Probably after Lift is of age and they can go drinking together.
Interesting.
But even before that, I think they would make a very interesting pairing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the score still stands 0-1.
I totally thought you were going to put Wayne in there.
I thought about Wayne.
Yeah.
I did. I thought Vin and Wayne, but I didn't want to do
Vin and Wayne.
Dude, I'm reading Mistborn right now. Vin's on my mind, okay?
Dude, I don't know if anyone else was asking for Vin to meet anyone else. I don't know what.
I am literally in the middle of the Mistborn. Kelsier just died.
Spoilers.
And I'm in the middle of Vin's story, and so it's just on my mind. Okay, I'm sorry.
That was terrible.
It was bad.
Well, that was what did he say? And we're gonna hop back into Elantris. We got a comment on one of our TikToks recently. We've got a couple comments on our TikToks recently talking about how like hard it is for people to get through Elantris.
Yeah.
And I just don't agree with them.
Oh yeah.
Personally. Well, it's probably because I read Elantris before. I read Elantris right after reading the first Mistborn, I think.
Okay.
It was in very early Brandon Sanderson time for me. And I really liked it. It was very it was overly political.
People have that complaint about a lot of Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon's just he writes politics into his books quite a bit.
I don't mind it.
I actually love it.
I love the politics. Like, people didn't love Mistborn Book 2 because of all the politics.
Now, I will give them Mistborn Era 1, Book 2,
weakest of all the Mistborn
is the weakest.
Yeah.
And it can be a drudge. It's hard to get through sometimes.
Yeah.
But I really like it.
Yeah.
I love Elantris. I've read this book so many times and I'm still learning new stuff. So on to Serene's chapter.
Okay. Let's get started. Again, Aeon Sheo right at the top there. We left with Serene having dinner with her uncle's family, and he offered for her to stay there. And it says Serene decided to not accept her uncle's offer to stay with him. As tempting as it was to move in with his family, she was afraid of losing her foothold in the palace.
Yeah, so Serene's in a foreign land. She is now connected to the royal family, but without Raoden there, she doesn't have any real connection to the royal family and a spot in court or anything like that. So
right.
She said she decides to stay at the palace because it will help her keep her foot in the door, sort of thing. Because if she were off at Kiein's place all the time, it would be kind of weird for her to come to the palace. But if she's living there,
then she's there. She's got her foot in the door.
Yep. And she set up easel in the middle of the throne room.
In the middle of the throne room.
Like equal distance away from every wall. So,
and King Iadon just yelled at her what in the name of Domai are you doing, girl?
Yeah,
valid crash out.
Dude, he doesn't want her there, and he just comes into his throne room where he holds court, and there's just this what he presumes to be idiot girl,
yeah,
painting in the middle of his throne room. And so she turns around and all innocent, she's like, well, I'm painting your paintings. You know? And I just wrote, she is so good at this.
Oh, she's so good at it.
So good at acting stupid.
Yeah.
So I understand Iadon's frustration here. Just being if this is how someone actually was, it would infuriate.
Oh, it would infuriate me as well.
Painting my... Are you dumb?
And so then he says, paint if you must, but don't do it in the middle of my throne room. So she moves to the side. She moves her easel to the side of the throne room, and Iadon's just dumbfounded. He's just
oh, whatever, dude.
Oh,
can't even do anything about it. So, she's really great at that. She wanted her spot in court, and I don't think she would have been invited.
No,
doesn't
to
get
like
invited,
attend the
yeah.
court. No.
So this is her way to get into the court so she can like keep up with everything.
Yes.
And like
The Joneses.
Yep. Keep up with the Joneses. With the Iodons.
Yes.
What's Raoden's last name? Do we have a family name?
Do we have family names for
anyone?
Anybody? I don't know that I know a single family name in this entire book.
Maybe family name's just not their thing. Okay.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Because like family names are pretty important in other like Cosmere books.
Yeah.
Like in Mistborn, like there's the Great Houses.
Yeah.
And like family names are pretty important because allomancy or ferrochemical powers get passed down line.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty important there. In Stormlight, I guess like you have
your great house,
your high princes.
Yeah.
And
not great. Yeah. Sorry.
No. Yeah. So I guess names they're important there because they kind of let you know who's light-eyed or not.
Yeah.
Kind of, so like you have to be, if you're part of this lineage, you're probably going to be light-eyed or dark-eyed.
Yeah.
So I guess
interesting that we don't have any surnames here.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm actually noticing it. But anyways, where were we?
Sereni's talking to Ash, and talking about, she says, I'm beginning to wonder how one such as he obtained the throne in the first place. Actually, he says this, because she's just complaining about him and everything. And Sereni says, a good question. Perhaps we aren't giving him enough credit. He might not make a very good king, but he was apparently a very good businessman. And that's what we know about Iadon, is he had a really good businessman, or was a really good businessman, hasn't made a great king. Not same.
Not same. Those skills don't super transfer over.
Yeah.
And Sereni says he's probably going to lose his throne. I suspect that is why the Gjorn is here.
Yep.
Which I wrote, yeah, kinda.
Pretty
much. Well, like,
no, actually.
I mean, he didn't come to overthrow the government. He came to convert the people, but overthrowing the government is just kind of a
happy accident.
Happy? Accident? I don't think either of those are correct there.
No. Happy little accident.
Okay, Bob Ross. I think it's a very neutral consequence.
I don't think it's neutral either.
You don't think getting Iadon off the throne is...
I guess it's probably neutral to Hrathen.
Yeah. I don't think Hrathen cares who's on the throne, as long as they are Drethi.
Yeah.
So, neutral consequence of what Hrathen's trying to do here. Yep. And then we find out that Sereni here...
can't paint.
It would not be a light weaver.
Oh, man.
Which is actually what I wrote. I highlighted, I said, not a light weaver.
Not a
Noted.
Yeah, can't paint to save her life.
Yeah.
Ash is trying to guess what she's painting. It's not going well
He
for her.
tried to give her a slight compliment, and she called him out. He was like, "You've gotten better, my lady." And she's like, "What did I paint?"
Yeah.
And Ash is like, "A bowl of fruit?"
No, not a bowl of fruit.
And then we have her cousin come up, and Lukel thinks it's a horse.
Yeah.
Or what else did he say?
A house?
A house or a horse. Yeah. So we have bowl of fruit, house, horse. She's trying to paint flowers, if you don't know.
Yeah. Because she had already told him that she was painting one of the paintings in the throne room.
Yeah.
And so they're like looking around like house, horse,
yeah,
full of fruit.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's that one that I'm looking at, guys. They're like, but that's a painting of flowers.
Those are flowers.
And she's like, yeah. And they're like, what's the brown smudge in the middle of your painting? She's like, flowers. Which, to be fair, if anybody else has tried painting in watercolors and anything like that,
yeah,
because I am horrendous. I have no artistic talent to speak of.
Yeah.
And when I try to paint, maybe she's trying to paint a bouquet of flowers that have a lot of pretty colors. and they're just like
mixing.
to make a brown. So
Sure. Yeah, who knows?
I feel
She's
for
just bad.
Serena here.
She's just bad.
She's bad.
She was like, let's just pretend I was trained by someone from a Svordish school of extreme abstractionism, which I thought is interesting that, like, basically anytime we hear about
Education.
schools or
Yeah.
education or like research scientists, anything in that realm, it's always Svordish.
Yeah.
So they're definitely like the forefront of education and research, it seems.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Interesting also in the fact that like Erelon's not and Fjordel's not, probably because they have magic and then have just kind of leaned on those, and so haven't needed to make the advancement that Fjorden has.
Yeah, I don't know how long has Fjordel known about like the dark core magics, because it seems very, if nothing else, it's a very well hidden secret.
Yeah,
because no one in Erelon recognizes it or anything.
Yeah, that's true. Not blatant like the Elantris were,
but at least they've known it for at least 50 years. Just because we know, what's his name?
Delof?
Yeah, just because we know Delof is in his 60s or 70s and that he's been part of the priesthood for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I assume he like, I guess he could have like worked up to the monastery where they use those magics.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We don't know.
It's been around.
It's been around. I don't know how long it's been around and how much of a crutch the Fjordell Empire has used it.
Yeah.
Just because they've kept it pretty well hidden.
Yeah.
It seems.
If you're not a priest.
Yeah.
Or part of one of the monasteries, like probably the Fjordell residents probably have no idea about it.
Yeah. So just kind of interesting that every like more normal type of advancement, like science and education and that sort of thing, it's all Svordish.
Yeah.
So
interesting. They're in the throne room. They're talking about the king is basically hearing this trial between two landowners who are squabbling over like a slave, basically. But slavery is illegal in Erelon, and so
but not actually anymore, you know.
So Serene's talking to Luca like, what is this conversation? I thought slavery was illegal, and they kind of go over the political thing, and it comes out that like the first thing Iadon did when he took the throne was eliminate individual landholding rights.
Yeah.
And so before Elantris fell, it was Elantrians and everybody else. And like you could gain wealth and everything, but there was no like prestige outside of Elantris. I feel like they were the ruling class. Everybody else was kind of equal. Yeah, you could have more money than somebody else, but you're not going to have a title over them. And so when Elantris fell, the people with the money kind of like gave themselves title. That's how King Iadon's whole ruling classes kind of happened, is they gave themselves titles, took away the land from, everybody else. And they're basically just like peasants now working on somebody else's land.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because the dispute is basically one person had their slave run away. That slave ended up on a different person's land, and then that slave had kids.
Yeah.
And so they're fighting over who gets the kids, basically.
Yeah.
Iadon essentially says, well, the slave is the first landowners, but the kids were fed and raised by the second landowner, so the second landowner gets the kids.
Yeah. Which is awful.
It's terrible.
But also, I mean, I'm sure the mom lives with the second landowner, and so like you're splitting up a family either way. Like
it makes you think, because we know Raoden always got a say in basically everything because he's the prince, and like Iadon's government set it up that way to where Raoden could speak his mind on anything. If Raoden was here, you would think that like he probably keeps the family together somehow.
Yeah.
Like whether that's monetary compensation to the first landowner or whatever. But it's just kind of sad for this slave that Raoden's not there.
Yep.
So, anyways.
Yep, and so they talk a little bit more about Iadon, like how he even managed to take the throne, and Lukel says, Iadon is a complex man. He's remarkably short-sighted in some areas, but he can be extremely crafty when dealing with people.
Yeah.
That's part of what makes him a good merchant, and so we know that Iadon, he's just kind of a crafty guy. He's not not the most straightforward shooter, not everything to everybody at all times. He puts forth what is going to be most presentable to whoever he's with at the time.
Yeah. And this is also where we learn that he was the chairman of the Merchants Guild.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, when Elantris lost its power, the Merchants Guild was basically the most powerful organization outside of Elantris.
Yeah.
And so that's why him as the chairman was just like, it was a very seamless, like, oh, he's king now. And that's basically how this government got set up once Elantris fell.
Right.
So they go on to say like how Elantrians can make anything they wanted. And so they had to strike a deal with the merchants to not make like more precious goods. So the merchants could still sell stuff.
Yeah. So the merchants didn't deal in common things because the Elantrians just made food for free for everybody. And so, or anything like that, where it was just like common household thing, like cloth, I'm sure was provided by the Elantrians.
Yeah.
Oil, food, basic necessities.
Yeah.
But they had contracted or agreed with the merchants to not make diamonds, or whatever it is, like super precious things. So
yeah, and we go on once they, talk about that for a little more. They start talking about Raoden because Lukel smiles and says that basically what Sereni's saying about King Iadon sounds a lot like what Raoden would say.
Yeah, he's like, you sound like Prince Raoden.
Yep, so she asks Lukel to tell her about him.
And I loved this like chapter from Lukel, like just describing Raoden.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of insight of like, again, how he was perceived before he got taken by the Sheod. But he says he was the greatest man I've ever known. And he also mentions his optimism. And we see that in Elantris. Like, even before he was Elantrian, Raoden obviously portrayed a very optimistic person for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's probably why a lot of people liked him and gravitated towards him, is because he just always, had good thoughts and was never a Debbie Downer.
And on top of him always being happy, it says here, like, Raoden made people happy.
Yeah.
He said, your day could have been as sour as a winter, and the prince and his optimism would arrive, and with a few gentle words, he would make you realize just how silly you were being. He was brilliant as well. He knew every Aeon and could draw them with perfection, which
is huge.
Well, here's the thing. Huge for, where Raoden's at and all that and storyline. Great.
Yeah.
Without that storyline, that line would never be in there.
No.
Like, that's not something that Lukel would actually include to this description of Sereni's dead husband when she's like, tell me about him. It wouldn't be included that he knew every Aeon and could draw them with perfection. It moves the storyline along. It helps us understand why Raoden, knows the Aeons.
Unless it was just one of his biggest hobbies and something he talked about,
I guess.
Because I don't know, if I were to be describing someone and let's say my brother-in-law is very good at trivia. And if I were to explain my brother-in-law to someone, I'd be like, you could ask him any trivia question and he'd probably know the answer. That's something I would say.
Okay.
So if Raoden was constantly drawing Aeons, it might be something you would bring up. You're like, he knew every single Aeon and he could draw them all perfectly. It's just,
okay.
I think it's something that worth mentioning if you're explaining someone's personality to someone. If it's that big of a part of the personality.
Yeah.
Because for my brother-in-law, it is. He will randomly just be like, did you know? And then he'll go on and tell you some random fact about Germany. It's something that's a big part of his personality, so I would mention it.
Okay.
But
all right, fair.
I agree. if it wasn't like a huge part of his personality, you'd never say
Yeah.
that about someone.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Serini says he sounds like he was flawless, and Luke Hell smiled. He said, "In everything but cards."
yes. So he always lost when they played Tuledu,
Toodaloo.
which we have no information on, Brandon. I want things to be fleshed out so I can play Tuledu, bro. Like,
Oh man.
and we know it was. I mean, all we know is that it was a card game and that you could basically gamble money with it.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could put money up for any game.
Yeah.
But it seems like it was very common to put money on the line when playing Tuledu.
Yeah, it says he would always lost when we played Toodaloo, even if he did talk me into paying for dinner afterward. He would have made a horrible merchant. He didn't really care about money. He would lose a game of Toodaloo just because he knew I got a thrill from the victory. And I just, you grow to love Rayoden.
I love
You
Rayoden.
just love like who Rayoden was and like how he treated the people around him. And
Yeah.
And it says here, I never saw him sad or angry. And that, like, for me, I was like, because we know Rayoden does have some inner pessimism.
Yeah.
And does have some inner, like, sadness.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we see Rayoden angry if we ever do, but, like.
Well, Lukel obviously sees him angry because he says, I never see him sad or angry except when he was at one of the outer plantations visiting the people. And he did that often. So we know that Rayoden's well-traveled. Why does he not recognize the land in Aeon Aeon? Anyways, throw that away. Whatever.
When I'm again, I'm in the middle of Mistborn, so that's just kind of what's coming to mind. But like all these, like it says he's got sad or angry when he would visit these plantations, and I'm just like thinking of like the ska plantations and like how they were treated, and I'm sure it's not the same.
Not quite.
But it's probably like, I mean, they're forced to work there. They don't own the land. They don't gain anything from working there other than living and eating, food, you know, which is what the ska got.
Yeah.
So I feel like there might be some similarities there, and I would be mad too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the only time that he would see him sad or angry. But we also learned that he would often be at court and speak his thoughts on the matters directly.
Yeah.
So again, if only Rayoden was there for that slave that was brought in earlier. Yep.
Yep.
We learned that Iadon tried everything short of banishing Rayoden to keep him quiet, which just feeds Sereni's theory that Rayoden was murdered or assassinated.
Yeah.
So thank you, Luke L, for that.
He goes on to say, like, this country needed Rayoden.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, that feeling that creates. Like, this country needed Rayoden. It's not like, oh, he would have made a good king, you know, because you can say, oh, yeah, he would have made a good king. But no, like, this country needed Rayoden and what he was doing.
And then Luke L mentions the group of nobles that Rayoden would get together with.
Yes.
To talk treason. Kinda. And then he mentions that not many of those people actually trusted Lukel's father, Kiain.
Yes, which Serini was like,
why?
Why?
And he was like, he has something of a reputation for being a scoundrel, and like maybe something a bit more than a reputation of a scoundrel. I'm assuming most of these people knew that he was Driok.
Really?
Probably?
I don't know if they do.
Is it a huge secret? He has the weapon mounted on his wall.
I don't know. I know in Teod it's not common knowledge at all.
Well, not to Sereni at least.
Yeah.
So
I don't think they know. I think you can have a reputation for being a scoundrel without people knowing that you are a pirate. I don't think anybody knows,
I just
except for maybe his wife.
what else gives him that reputation?
Um,
Because Kian's a bear hugging, cooking yummy desserts, big joyful guy. If they're just saying he's a scoundrel because he refuses to take a title from Iadon, I don't feel like that's enough.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. In my head canon, nobody knows.
Okay,
Nobody knows that he's Driok Crush Throat.
that's fine.
But he also says he doesn't have a title. Like, that's another reason that, because they're talking about the rest of the nobility. They're not talking about specifically like the people that meet with Raoden and all of this.
Well, no, they are talking about. He says now the group is fragmenting without his leadership. Father and I are trying to hold them together, but I've been gone so long and I'm out of touch. And of course, few of them trust Father. So they are talking about the group.
Right before that, though, he says he was beginning to make some real differences. He had gathered quite a following among the nobles. And so I'm assuming it's a broader group than the 6 of them.
No, yeah.
together.
We're not talking about the 6 main people.
Yeah.
They all trust Kian.
Right.
They're talking about
The broader
rest,
group. Yes.
the,
Okay.
the group that's not showing up. The rest of the group that's not showing up.
Right.
Raoden had a bigger group where they would talk how to better the government, to say it nicely. And most of them don't trust Kian.
Yeah. But I still just don't think that it's because he's Driok. I think he's just kind of, I don't know, dude.
I think it's because they know he's Driok.
All right. I feel like that's fine. We
I-
can agree to disagree on that. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Let us know in the comments if you think that the Araline nobility know that Kian is Driok Crush Throat.
I feel like it's not that big of a secret.
I feel like it is.
He
I feel like
keeps the weapon on his wall.
I know. But it's not like the Araline nobility is going to recognize a pirate's weapon.
If it's a pretty famous weapon,
I just don't think so.
I think so.
All right. Let us know what you guys think.
Anyways, moving on, they talk a bit about how Iadon's government's set up, and just like basically Iadon has it to where if you have enough money, you deserve to rule.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
So he's offered Kian a title several times,
Yeah.
and Kian has turned him down.
Yep. And so Kian and Raoden often played a game of Shinda in the throne room,
Mm-hmm.
which Iadon hated. Shinda has nothing on it, Brandon. It's a board game, but that's all we know. We know that this is all we know. Kian and Raoden.
I don't think it's that deep, bro. I think you get worked up over these games for nothing.
I want to know. I want to play these games. So Kian and Raoden would play it, and also King Eventio and
Royal?
yeah, Royale.
King Eventio?
Yes. King Eventio would play it with Royale whenever King Eventio came into town.
Oh,
basically.
interesting.
Yeah. But it's a board game, and that's it.
Okay.
So I want it fleshed out. Give me the board game.
Give me the board game.
Anyways, moving on. I can see your book, and you have a lot more marked up on this page than I do.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, bro, what did you even read the page?
I read the page. I didn't particularly find anything worth mentioning in this page. So, take it away. What happens this page?
It talks about Raoden turning like the laws that the king had set against him.
Mhm.
And so like the law was that anybody who Raoden invited could be in the throne room. And so he would bring Kian in and play Shindaw with him.
Mhm.
And just there's nothing Iadon could do because the law stated that anybody, like his own law stated that Raoden could do this.
Yes.
And so Sereni remarks about the fact that like Raoden had a knack for, turning the king's laws against him. And Lukel says it was one of his more endearing traits. He says somehow Raoden would twist every one of Iadon's new decrees until they turned around and slapped the king in the face. Iadon spent nearly every moment of the last 5 years trying to find a way to disinherit Raoden. It turns out Domai solved that problem for him in the end. And then we see Sereni like, well, Domai or like King Iadon's assassin.
Yeah.
And so we just see again like her
Suspicions.
suspicions feeding more into that. And so she asks like who inherits now, which is a really important question in the government right now, because women don't inherit in Erelon. And so even though she is, the princess, she's not going to inherit. And King Iadon doesn't have any other kids. But they do say, like, Lukel tells her, like, well, King Iadon might have another kid. Ished is young enough to have another kid. He's like, but if it's not that, it'll either be Lord Telri or Lord Royal, which I think this is the first time we see the name Telri, right? And it has an Aeon in it, which is Aeon Rai.
Yes.
Which means wealth or affluence. I can't believe you don't have that marked on your page.
I don't know what happened. I just I don't remember reading this page. Maybe I didn't read this page and I accidentally skipped over it. But yeah, I didn't mark anything on this page.
Yeah, so Lord Tellery, which is wealth or affluence, which we know that Lord Tellery is one of the most wealthy men in Erelon. That's why he would be, next in the line of succession, is because after the king, he's the wealthiest. And she asks, like, are they here? And he's like, well, Royal isn't, but Tellery is. He's the one over there. And she just notes his, like, appearance. And then Lukel says, let us hope the throne never falls to him. Iadon is disagreeable, but at least he's fiscally responsible. Iadon is a miser. Telri, however, is a spender. And so we just see a little bit of, like, Iadon's bad as a monarch.
Yeah.
Telri would be worse.
Yeah.
And we know later throughout the book that Hrathen is trying to get Telri on the throne, and they're actively fighting against that. And so that's, unfortunate. And then she asks just about the nobles that they were talking about that followed Raoden, and she asks, do they ever meet? And Lukel says no. He says they're too afraid to continue without the prince's protection. And he says, we've convinced a few of the more dedicated ones to gather one last time the day after tomorrow.
Yep.
And she says that she wants to be there. So.
Yep, she wants to be there. And then she goes on to say, like, oh, well, like, she was invited to lunch, so she's like, oh, we can tell him over lunch. And they mentioned that he's fixing Fjordell Rivertis.
And I assume you want a recipe.
I want something, dude. There's nothing. We don't know what this is. There's no description. Is it delicious? I assume so, because Kian's making it.
Yeah.
I want to know what it is, and I want to make it, and I want to eat it. Brandon, give me a recipe.
So anyway, they show up because, Lukel just says, okay, like, if you want to come to the meeting, Father will, we can get Father to get you invited somehow. So we'll go tell him over lunch. So they show up. He says that K-Ice is going to be ecstatic that you're coming. And she's like,
basically saying, like, Father always makes better food.
Yeah, she was like, well, why is K-Ice going to be excited?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, Father makes better food when company comes over, so K-Ice is going to be thrilled that you're there.
Yep. So they show up, and he was right. K-Ice is super excited, and she's like, as soon as Sereni shows up, K-Ice is like, okay, she's here, let's eat. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out, last episode, we named Lukel's wife as Jala, but
it'd be Yala.
I would assume it's either Yala or Hala. Like, I don't think it's the J.
Yeah.
Because we know Lord Jadith is Lord Yadith. So, yeah, it would probably be Yala.
And though she's not from Fjordell, but she's from I think her accent's similar.
Yeah.
And, like, I think the language in
Fjordish
and Fjordell are similar. So, probably.
So, I'll probably be calling her Yala, not Jala.
That's fine.
Anyways. Yep, they get there. Sereni's having a hard time seeing Lukel and his wife have affection for each other, because that's affection she's not getting. And then Uncle Kian comes out and he stuffs a book into his apron and hugs Sereni. And I just thought that was a weird thing to mention that he stuffs a book in his apron. Do you think it's just like a
Might
recipe
be
book?
just a recipe book, yeah.
But could it be something more?
Uh,
Probably not.
like if we're just reading this through the first time and we see that, then like maybe. But knowing this from the beginning to the end, no, I think it's probably just a recipe book.
Probably just a recipe book. I just like wrote a little question mark. Like, do we have any theories about this? I don't.
Yeah.
But
it just says that the meal proceeded in much the same way as dinner had the night before. So more small talk, more just like going through, getting to know everybody. They talk about, they jab a little bit at Sereni here for her artistic talents.
yeah, a little bit. It's like a page and a half.
Yeah.
Making fun of Sereni's painting.
Yeah. And then, they talk about the school of, what did they call it? Creative misdirection.
Yeah.
And K-Ice is like, well, there's no such thing as a school of creative misdirection. There's this school and this school and this school and this school. But creative misdirection doesn't exist.
Okay, Poindexter. We also learned that K-Ice can speak 4 languages. And they mentioned that she's going to have to not learn a new one because Svordish scientists
there you go.
claim that a human mind can only maintain 6. Oh, so she probably knows 5.
Yeah, it says 4 or 5. So Serena asks, how many languages does she speak? And Lukel says, 4 or 5, unless she's learned a new one while I wasn't looking.
Yeah. So apparently, I don't know. I should have looked this up. Is that like something real world people have?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Like you can only learn this many languages.
I mean, I know there's people who know more than that.
Yeah.
But I feel like the maximum level of languages you can maintain in a fluent level at the same time is 6.
Oh, so it's like pulled from real life.
Yeah. This is like, I mean, this is Reddit, obviously.
Oh, okay. Grain of salt.
But it's like you can know more than 6 languages, but some of them will be a bit, like not fluent.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna be fluent in languages, like
6 is kind of the max. Okay, cool. They go on. They're like making fun of K-Ice and stuff, and she actually brings up Raoden. She calls him like the prince. And she's like, the prince would have agreed with me. He would have taken my side. We were going to grow up and he was going to marry me.
Yeah.
All this. And this is kind of sucks for Sereni because she is married to him.
Which Dayorn points out.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have married you, stupid. He married Sereni.
Yeah. And I think it's funny. It says Sereni's face fell when the prince's name came up. They never said his name. By the way. Not important. They just call him Prince.
Yeah.
I just like...
That's yeah. No. Like,
that's just me being like,
no,
they didn't.
Like, fair. Like,
so Sereni stopped being depressed.
Yeah, if your face fell when the prince's name came up, then you should still be smiling.
Anyways, she goes on to remember the prince's soft, encouraging voice, traveling hundreds of miles through the Seon to speak with her, which I did the math. I was like, is it hundreds of miles from Teod to...
Because we know how many steps it is?
Yes. So, your average male stride
is like 3 feet?
Is 2.5 feet.
Okay.
Or 0.76 meters. And we multiply that by how many steps it takes to get to Teod from Arelon. Well, I guess from the top of the Elantris wall. It takes 1,054,442 steps. And then, so we multiply that by 2.5, which gives us 2,636,105 feet.
Okay.
Which then we divide by 500 or 5,280, because that's how many feet are in a mile.
Right. 5 tomatoes.
And we get 499.26 miles. So, yes.
Hundreds of miles.
Hundreds of miles.
And you're dumb. Okay.
You wanted this. You wanted the deep dive, and this is what you're getting. Yes, it is hundreds of miles.
Oh man. Okay. Well, that's welcome to the deep dive, guys.
She goes on, she's musing about like if she should have listened to her father and not like agreed to the marriage. And then she's like, well, I needed to because of, the Fjordan influence was growing, blah, blah, blah. Stuff we've read like 3 or 4 times by now.
Yeah. Just reinforcing like why she's here and what she's doing.
Yep. And then apparently Kian is talking this whole time and she's just like in her head. So she's like, what did you say?
What did you say?
What did he say? And he was just like, oh, I wanted to know if there's anything you wanted to like see here in Kai. Well, it's been a couple days. It's probably time someone gave you a tour, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure Lukel could do it. Lukel's like, nope, I got a trade deal meeting.
Because we learn while Lukel is talking with her in the throne room, he tells her like, right here, it says, I'm one of the most successful merchants in the city, cousin. Like, so we know that Lukel...
Which also means Lukel's probably taken a title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume so.
Because, I mean, he's invited to court.
Or maybe he hasn't.
Maybe he hasn't
because
taken the title.
Kian hasn't.
Yeah.
And so maybe,
Lukel out of principle doesn't.
Yeah.
But we know that Lukel can go to court no matter what.
Yeah.
Whereas Kian needs a invitation.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think it's because I don't think Kian's like being an active merchant. I think he's just living off his wealth.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be wealth is the
right, but the reason Lukel says he's in court is because he's one of the most successful merchants.
Yeah.
So I guess that gives him a pass, maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas Kian's own wealth, like just having wealth, doesn't.
I don't know.
Who knows? Semantics. Doesn't really matter.
But anyway, he says he can't show around because he's got to go take care of this deal, or him and Yala have to go take care of this deal. And Sereni's like, both of you?
Right.
And he's like, of course, Yala's a fierce bargainer. And she said, that be the only reason he married me. Lukel is a merchant, profit in everything, even marriage.
Yeah.
Probably not the only reason he married her, but...
No, definitely not the only reason. But yeah, he's just, he can't show him around. So, the twins, well, Lukel calls his younger siblings the twins because they look similar and they're always like trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
So, Sereni's kind of like, oh, I want to see Elantris.
Yeah.
Like, can you take me there? And Kian's kind of like, well, I guess the twins can.
And she's like, twins? And he's like, yeah, that's just the nickname for him.
Yep. Anything else you had in that section before we move on?
No, that's it.
Okay, perfect. So they go to the Wall of Elantris, and she talks about how there's aeons carved into the sides of the walls, and that she didn't recognize some of them.
Even though she'd like to consider herself well-educated.
Yeah, so like, are these aeons that even the Coppermine doesn't list, or is it just lack of knowledge on her part? Because like we have a list of like known aeons,
right?
And I assume this list is coming from Chris, probably. So I don't know if it's like world, like Cell knows, or cosmically aware Chris knows. But it's hard to say.
That is hard to say.
So, and you would think, like, if they're carved into the side of Elantris, people probably would have studied them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But if they're carved into the wall of Elantris, Chris, because we have aeons in the Coppermine that we don't have a definition for.
Right.
And so they're known aeons, even though we might not know what they mean. So I assume if they're carved into the side of Elantris, Chris probably knows about them, even if she doesn't know what they mean.
Gotcha. So maybe these are aeons that like we know, but we don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what Sereni's saying here is like, oh, I don't know this one, like, because she knows that like, oh, Edo means protection, but she doesn't know what this one means.
Yeah.
Because we don't even have a definition for it yet.
Yeah.
I wrote you probably have Edo protection.
Yeah.
On a wall.
On a
I would
wall.
assume so. I also put Dio, which is steadfast or immovable. Maybe. I also put Eon, which is like endurance. Oh, I just thought those kind of fit as like, here is a wall. These are the kind of Aeons.
There's a wall. Don't go over it. Sorry, my bad. Hey, my bad.
Hey, no. Good connection there. Good connection
Good
there.
Cosmere connection there.
Some people won't understand that, but you know, the real knowing ones, the cosmically aware ones will get that. Great reference, Jax. Let's move on.
Leave me alone. You don't got to be mean about
And so we learn that, or Serena at least takes this as like, this wall was not meant for defense. This was this is how she
it's a grand wall, and Hrathen says the same thing, or
Yeah.
like notes the same thing, like you wouldn't be able to collapse these stairs. With
Yeah.
any wall that's built for defense, you'd be able to collapse the stairs on the outside so that people can't get up the wall.
Yeah. So it says only people supremely confident in themselves would craft such amazing fortification, then place a wide set of stairs on the outside leading up to the top. And I marked that, and I wrote that Fjordell obviously has kept Decor hush hush, because I feel like if Elantrians knew about, you know, the monks of Decor and their powers, they probably wouldn't have put the stair. Like, the wall probably would have been built for protection if they had known there were other quote unquote gods.
Yeah, but also like Elantrians can just teleport anywhere, and so can the people of Decor. So even if they knew about the people of Decor, building a big wall is not going to keep them out.
You're right.
So
I'm just saying, like, they kept it hush hush. I don't think the Elantrians.
No, I agree. I agree with like the conclusion.
Yeah.
I think it's a false premise
Okay.
that got you to that conclusion, but I agree with the conclusion.
Okay.
Anyway, they talk about, you know, they're looking at Kai and they're like, it's petty, even like when compared with the majesty of Elantris.
Yep.
And Serene like told herself, like, petty or not, Kai will have to be my focus. Elantris' day is past. This is obviously before she knows what the Gjorn's doing, because we know she shifts later and Elantris is the focus.
Yes.
But right now she's like, I can't worry about Elantris. I'm gonna have to just worry about Kai.
And Elantris is focus. Aonella. But yes, you're right. Anyways, we actually talked about this in our last episode on how the walls weren't falling apart. But they are. So the walls themselves are. The stairs on the outsides of the walls are sturdy.
Okay.
So I assume, that. So the walls, just like the rest of Elantris,
Kind of falling apart.
like, were dependent on the door.
Yeah.
And now that the door's cut off, the walls are falling apart. So we're just correcting ourselves there. Anyway. Wow. Did I skip these pages, bro?
Bro, what did you do, bro?
What was I doing?
I guess I'm
For context, I don't have any marks on these next 2 pages.
And I actually have a blue mark
What?
on one of these 2 pages.
For those that don't know, blue marks mean Cosmere connections, which we rarely see in Elantris because it was written before the Cosmere was super fleshed out or anything. So
it's not a very good blue mark.
Okay. Still interested. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't mark anything here.
Well, we're just going to move pretty quickly through it because it's honestly not... I mean, I actually love this because these 2 pages go over Serene's first interaction with Hrathen. And so he's standing on top of the wall. We already know from Raoden's chapter. Hrathen's standing on top of the wall, preaching to these people about Elantris and denouncing Elantris, basically.
Yeah.
And so she says there's a piercing voice rising over the group. And she's like, what's that? And the twins exchange mutual shrugs. And then like she finally sees him. She's like, or Ki sees him. She's like, it's the Gjorn.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to see him.
Yeah.
And so Serene's like, okay, like Serene already knows. She doesn't know this is the Gjorn that's tied to the fall of the Dual Republic, but she knows how significant it is that there's a Gjorn in Erewhon.
Yeah. And she at least suspects that it's the same purpose, the same Gjorn.
I don't know if she does at this point, but she does later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he's just denouncing Elantris, right? He says they have lost their right to be men. They are animals having no will or desire to serve Lord Yadith's kingdom. They know no god and can only follow after their lusts. And Serene's like thinking through like the implications of that and everything. And he continues on, as all know, animals are far beneath men in the eyes of Lord Yadith. And Serene just like puts on the same persona that she puts on in King Iadon's throne room of just like airheaded, idiotic, like doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And she just asks like, why? Like, why are men so inferior, or like animals so inferior to men? And Hrathen just demands back, like, why what?
Yeah, she placed it in such like an awkward spot between his sentences that he can't just move on.
Yes.
Like she interrupts his flow.
Yes.
And
because Serene is really good at this.
She's so good at this. So interrupts, so Hrathen like whips around and he's like, why what? Like obviously mad that his sermon got interrupted.
Yes.
She goes like, why are animals beneath humans in Mr. Yadith's eyes? Which is just like a jab, you know, it's Yadith is supposedly a god, and so he deserves a title. So calling him Mr. kind of like pokes at Hrathen, like, Mr. Yadith? Like,
yes.
But
yes. It says the Gjorn gritted his teeth at the use of the term Mr. Yadith. Because unlike men, that's what his answer to a question. He says, because unlike men, they can do nothing but follow their own lusts.
Yeah.
And she says here, the standard follow-up question would have been like, but men follow their lusts as well.
Yeah.
But she already knows he's got a counterpoint to that because it's the standard follow-up.
Yeah.
And so she says,
I heard that Mr. Yadith rewarded arrogance.
Yes. And he comes back and says, Lord Yadith rewards ambition, not arrogance.
Yeah, and Hrathen's caught on that he's not dumb.
Yes.
Because he's like, oh, that's not a question that someone who is like as dumb as this girl is acting would actually ask. So,
but despite knowing that she's not, he has to like play along and answer her question for the rest of the crowd because he's trying to,
because it's the game,
control this crowd. Yeah,
it's the game that they're both playing. So
right there, when he says Lord Yadith rewards ambition, not arrogance, that's my like quote unquote Cosmere connection, because we've already mentioned there's a chance that the Derethi religion is a sect of autonomy.
Yeah.
And we know that autonomy's like big thing in most of her sects is ambition.
Yes.
You know, and so that's my another like just little like thing that like this really could be a sect of autonomy because Lord Yadith rewards ambition.
Yeah.
So that's just my little Cosmere connection. And Serene just comes back with, I don't understand. Isn't ambition serving our own lusts? Why does Mr. Yadith reward that?
And by now the crowd's kind of like
they're on the fence.
Hrathen's pretty much losing the crowd for a little bit. And like it mentions how since Hrathen couldn't answer quickly enough or interestingly enough, like he's not holding their attention anymore.
Yeah. And so he says ambition is different from carnality. People's service in Yadith's empire is quickly rewarded both here and in the afterlife. And it says it was a masterful attempt.
Yeah.
Right. So like Serene can see like this was a good attempt. He managed not only to switch the topic, but to draw the crowd's attention to another idea, which is reward.
Yeah.
Right.
So obviously Hrathen's a Gjorn not for no reason.
Yes.
Like we can see that Hrathen is very good at this.
And Hrathen is so used to like preaching to people without this level of contradiction and all that stuff. And a lot of the stuff he says is almost rote. Like it's just like the same all the time.
Yeah.
But we see here that he is good at what he does. You know, like, he repeats verbatim a lot of the stuff he says, and like he's so used to it that it's just like second nature to him. But we see here that he can, you know, still like match wits with somebody.
Yep.
So,
and Sereni wasn't done yet.
No.
So she goes, so if we serve Yadith, she didn't say Mr. Yadith, but if we serve Yadith, our lusts are fulfilled.
And this was so masterful on Sereni's part because she knows that in the Dorethi religion, nobody serves Yadith.
Yeah.
Like,
except for
Wyrn. Yeah. Right. And so they have like this hierarchy, which we've already talked about a little bit, where like they swear to whoever's above them. And so you've got your Bjorns and Grogdets that like directly serve Wyrn, and then you've got your Ardits and everything that directly serve them. And so it's just this hierarchy. And so without really even thinking, Hrathen responds like, nobody serves Yadith but Wyrn.
Yeah, he says it offhandedly. And this is exactly what Sereni wanted him to say. And it just serves to the people in Arelon not really understanding.
Yeah, they don't know
that religion, that part of the religion. And so to them, Hrathen just basically says, like, you can't serve this god.
Yeah.
Which is like, he's trying to get them to like his whole point is to convert them to serve Yadith's empire.
Right.
But he just goes like, well, you can't serve him.
Yeah.
And so to someone who doesn't really know the religion, that's way confusing. And Sereni knew this, and she uses it masterfully.
Yeah. She says, no one can serve Yadith? Not even you? Like,
and she also mentions like, it's a silly argument.
Yeah. It's a misinterpretation of Hrathen's point, not a true attack on Shu-Direth.
And even Sereni acknowledges that, like, if her and Hrathen were to, like, have a more real debate on this, she would get destroyed.
Yeah, she says, in a debate of pure religious merit, Sereni would never have been able to stand against a fully trained Bjorn, which is interesting. I mean, obviously she's got more training, but, like, if she so fervently believes that Shu-Direth is not the truth, but she can't stand against somebody in like a debate of pure religious merit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Because I think she's mostly saying this as like, if she went to a Bjorn and tried to convince him that Shu-Direth was wrong, there would be no way for her to do it. I don't think it's like, oh, Shu-Koroth versus Shu-Direth, like, who can explain their religion better and like have the connections. I think it's more like, if she were trying to disprove him in anything according to Shu-Direth, there's no way she would win.
Okay.
So,
but it says here that Sereni wasn't looking to disprove Hrathen's teachings, just ruin his speech.
Yeah, which she does so good.
And it says, nobly the Bjorn tried to cover for his mistake, attempting to bring the conversation back to more familiar grounds, but Sereni had the crowd now, and she held on to them with a vice-like grip only a woman on the verge of hysterics could do.
She goes, what will we do? Shaking her head. I fear these things of priests are beyond common people such as myself.
And then it says right there, and it was over.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing he can do at that point. Like, the people began talking among themselves and wandering away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, master play on Sereni's part. And she has no idea what the Bjorn's attempting to do or like trying to accomplish.
She's just trying to spoil him wherever she can.
Pretty much.
And so Hrathen comes up to her and is like, you're playing a dangerous game, girl. Like, princess.
It says, like, he nodded appreciatively at Sereni. It wasn't a bow, but it was the most respectful gesture she had ever received from a Dorethi priest. It was acknowledgement of a battle well won, a concession given to a worthy opponent.
Yeah, yeah. And then he's like, you're playing a dangerous game. And she's like, you'll find him very good at games, Bjorn.
And he says, until the next round, then. Which I just love the little,
I think Hrathen's already fallen for her.
I don't know if he's already fallen for her, but there are other places in here like we go and
Maybe
it says something about like against his own will or
maybe it's in
whatever.
Hrathen's chapter.
It might, yeah.
Anyways,
Hrathen's chapter.
I think that Hrathen and Serene are actually very, very similar in that they both kind of sought after this challenge of like, because to Hrathen, overthrowing the Dulodan Republic was just easy.
Yeah.
And there was no challenge to it. So like he was excited to come to Erelon because it's going to be a challenge and all that. And I think similar to how Serene was like, why would I play with King Iadon when I can match wits with a Bjorn? Because it's like that challenge for her. And
Yeah.
I think they're very similar there, where it's like they both want to,
They love the game.
yeah, they love the game and they want to get challenged. So I don't know. In a different timeline, I ship Creanie for sure.
Creanie for sure.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. But she turns around and she sees K-Ice rolling on the floor, like laughing, because K-Ice thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. And it really was. Like, she's so good at this. It's crazy how good she is at acting stupid.
Yeah. And they asked there, like, didn't he know you were only acting stupid?
Mm-hmm.
And Serene says, like, probably.
Yeah.
But there was no way for him to prove it, so he had to pretend that I was serious. And again, it's just it's playing the game.
Yeah. Well, moving on. So Hrathen leaves. And as he's leaving,
Serene?
No. Hrathen's
Delof.
Thank you. As they're leaving, Delof like shoots Serene a look of just like pure hatred. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself.
Probably, but it's okay. I mean they do. They walk away and pure hatred, all the stuff. But it says that Serene got her first like good look at Elantris at the city below.
Yes.
And it says here like it had once been beautiful, and I wrote in there like so very beautiful. Like just the again like the shadowing of the Hoid mantra, like beautiful, once so very beautiful. And there's this like if you're paying really close attention, like I feel like if somebody were to go through this book for the first time as carefully as we're going through it right now, they could piece together way more than I did my first time through.
For sure.
Obviously not everything, but like there's plenty of clues in here.
She goes on to say that like the buildings worked together, the way the roads crossed, the entire mass was intentional, which was very intentional. We all know that Elantris was built in the shape of Aeon Ella.
Right.
So it was very intentional. Good job, Serene.
Yeah,
you point that out.
Well done.
Art on a grand scale. Most of the arches have collapsed. Many of the domed roofs have fallen. She's just, looking at Elantris and being like, okay, it's falling apart.
Yeah.
But it's still beautiful. Yeah.
And it talks about like Ki saying they're so sad, and she's like, who? And she just points to the Elantrians down below. And says no one takes care of them. And Serene says, how do they eat? Someone must feed them. And Daorn chimes in. He's like, no one feeds them. They should all be dead. There's nothing for them to eat in there.
Which is interesting because really soon we see Ki talk about Elantrians very solemnly. And obviously their half-brother is Elantrian.
Right.
But the way Daorn talks about it here almost seems like he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like he's like, well, they should be dead. Like there's nothing.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like interesting because he should know they don't need food. But he doesn't say that here. He says they should be dead because they can't eat anything. But he should know because his brother is Elantrian.
Yeah, but maybe they don't know that. I mean, I know Ki says right here that they're dead too. They don't need to eat.
They don't need to sleep, and they don't age. They're all dead. Her voice was uncharacteristically solemn. So we know Ki knows that they don't need to eat, and that they don't need to sleep, and that they don't age. Yet Daorn almost seems like he doesn't.
Yeah, And just living with Adian, I don't know that you would find out that they don't need to eat, because I assume he eats. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm assuming
Yeah.
he's hungry all the time and he eats. And so this might be K-Ice, just like external knowledge, not from Adian. But
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think
she knows about it because, like,
yeah,
even Serena is like, "How do you know so much?" And she's just like, "I just do. Trust me. They're dead." Anyways, I just thought it was interesting that Daorn doesn't, like, at least the way he's saying this
doesn't know.
seems like he doesn't know, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everyone in the family knows. I feel like it would be hard to hide it from someone who's living in that house.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, they all know that Adian is
Yeah.
Elantrian,
So,
obviously, but like
maybe K-Ice just knows a bit more because she's talked to
or paid attention.
Yeah, who knows? Anyways,
they do notice 3 figures on a roof.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it says like
there was something different.
they looked mobile, unlike most of the other Elantrians she had seen. There was something different about these 3.
Which, well, we all know it's Galadon, Raoden, and Marishi up on the roof.
Yep.
So
she gets a little dizzy.
So with a start, she looks down, noticing how high up they were. Her eyes unfocused. She began to lose her balance. And I wrote, so not a windrunner either. She's running. She's running out of Knights Radiant Order. She can join here.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, not a windrunner. Sorry, Sereni. So she gets dizzy. She stumbles back.
I think I'd put Sereni in with the Elf Scholars. I'd put her in with Yasna.
I can see that. She is kind of Yasna.
She's Yasna coded for sure.
Yeah, just a bit.
I don't know. But I also don't know that that's just because, like, I don't know that I can pair that in with the Elf Scholars.
Right.
I just kind of pair her in with Yasna.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Who knows? If you have any theories on what Knights Radiant Order Serena would join, leave it in the comments.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear.
And that's Serene's chapter.
Oh yeah, that's Serene's chapter. Okay, moving on to Hrathen's chapter.
And we're gonna move fairly quickly through this one because
I think so.
It's just not. We'll just get into it.
Yeah.
See how long it takes.
Yeah. So it starts off with, if Delof had been a dog, he would have been growling, which I wrote, if Delof had been a dog. What do you mean? He is one. Like,
that's a bit much, bro.
And I don't know. Delof is pretty.
Yeah, he got that dog in him.
He got that dog in him. Anyways, so Delof is like foaming at. Well, he's not actually foaming at the mouth, but essentially he's foaming at the mouth because he's just like so angry. Whereas Hrathen's just like, she was magnificent.
Yeah. It says she was magnificent. Hrathen said in spite of himself.
Yeah.
So like
a little bit falling for
a little bit, I guess.
Hrini. I think Hrini is a thing, bro.
No.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it talks about Fjordan's relationship with Teod and everything, and their denunciation of all things directly.
Yeah.
But he says, still, it was invigorating to meet a person who could so easily foil one of his sermons.
I think
invigorating.
Yeah.
Oh, don't.
Anyways, you skipped over a line here.
Oh, hey, my bad.
It says, Teod had banished Derethi priests from the country 50 years ago following a small misunderstanding, okay? Now, I looked hard for what happened in Teod 50 years ago, and it's not been answered. Like, something happened in Teod that the king, I assume it would be Serene's grandfather, was like, get out and don't come back. Like, it got to the point where he almost threw out the ambassadors as well, but he didn't. So
Serene probably knows, because it says she felt like she knew everything that had happened in Teod for the last 50 years.
So maybe 50-50 shot she got this far.
Cusp, bro.
But my own headcanon is this is when Delof started in the priesthood in Shudireth. we know that Dilaf has been part of Shudireth for 50 years.
Okay.
So I wonder if
he was
Dilaf,
in
it was
Teod.
like his first or second year as a priest and had the, he's like the zealotness and like fervor and like did something in
Interesting.
Teod. But there's nothing.
I also just don't know that Dilaf was as heavily zealous as he is before his wife.
Maybe. Well, his wife thing is why he hates Elantris, but he did become the head of one of the 3 most famous monasteries. And I feel like to get that far, you kind of have to be a zealot and like,
yeah.
Anyways, that's a little like maybe little headcanon theory.
Maybe Dilaf was preaching in Teod, and
but there's nothing else.
The king.
There's nothing else. This is the only thing I found for this was a list of questions that we should be asking Brandon. This was on that list.
Oh yeah,
that's all I found. So I just I know that Dilaf has been part of Shudireth for 50 years. This happened 50 years ago. So just similar timelines. So I thought maybe, but probably not.
Interesting.
Anyways, we can continue now.
Okay. So it goes back to Dilaf being Dilaf.
Yeah.
And talking about how she's accursed above all others, a member of the only race hated by Lord Yadith. And Hrathen's like, Yadith hates no one but those who hate him, Yeah, and Dilaf's well, they do hate him,
Yeah.
And Hrathen's like, no, they don't. Like most people in Teod haven't had the opportunity to hear Yadith's name.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, the king? Yeah, he's gone.
Sure.
But like the country can still be saved.
Yeah.
And it says here, like, it will be destroyed, Dilaf prophesied. Yadith will not wait while our artists preach his name against the unyielding walls of Teod's hearts.
Which is just like straight facts.
Yeah, and he knows it.
And I wrote here because it says like it will be destroyed. Dilaf prophesied. And I just wrote, well, there it is. Like Brandon really tells you everything that's going to happen.
Yep.
Before, like he's basically already alluded to the fact that the crevice is what made Elantris fall. Here he tells us that like Hrathen's not going to get a chance to preach to them. It's going to get destroyed before that. Yeah. He literally tells us right here. So just a little foreshadowing, I guess.
Yep. And a little bit more foreshadowing right here for the next book of Elantris, where it says, Lord Yadith can only return when all men are united beneath Fjordell rule.
Yeah.
Because we know, I think Brandon has said that like Yadith will return in book 2.
So that's like a big plot point. Mm-hmm. And it's because Wyrn basically changes the understanding of that scripture to be everyone east of these mountains.
Okay.
So that Arelon and Teod don't count anymore.
Oh.
And it brings up an interesting thing because the Fjordell Empire basically just molds Shudireth to whatever it wants.
Right. The inclusion of the Sprockis.
Yeah, the inclusion of the Sprockis, the whole like Fjordell people are like the chosen people, and the Fjordell tongue is like the chosen language. Those weren't part of Shudireth before Fjordell turned it into like their state religion and like is spreading it like that. Though like the creator of Shudireth didn't preach that the Fjordell people are the chosen people.
Right.
And stuff like that. So it's interesting. They're going to change it. And it's just because the Wyrn can just do that because he has absolute power pretty much.
Right.
But yes, that is a good thing to know, but it's going to get changed. So
yeah.
Oh, well. And we see Hrathen whisper here. He goes, great Yadith below, which I pointed it out, I think, in the first episode that in Shudireth, Yadith is residing in the earth rather in like heaven or the sky.
Oh,
so just interesting. He goes, great Yadith below, which I think is one of the only times we see Yadith's name like used as he says like whispered invoking the deity's name. Like it's just not commonly used, unlike Domai, which is like everyone's swear word.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so it talks about like Phraathen says like Lord Yaddeth can only return when all men are united beneath Fjorda rule. That includes the one in Teod. And Dilof's response is like, perhaps, but there's another way.
yeah.
Lord Yaddeth will rise when every living soul is united. The Teos will be no obstacle if we destroy them.
Yeah.
And this is where Phraathen's like, huh?
Like no.
Like, okay, you're a little much, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a little. And it says, to Phraathen, uniting all mankind meant converting them to Shudirith, not murdering those who didn't believe. And so you see again just like the disparity between Phraathen, who is legitimately a good guy trying to do his best, and
love Wraithen.
Dilof, who's just a zealot.
Wraithen's actually just such a good guy.
Yeah. But it talks about how his loss to Serene wasn't as complete as she might have assumed, because he then goes to this meeting that he had set up and people still showed up.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Well, maybe not funny, but he sets it up in like a hotel room, basically. It's like in the nicest inn in like the suite.
Okay.
Which I assume he does to make the people more willing to come, because if he was like, oh, come to the
monastery,
the Drethi chapel, people might not be as willing to go there this early. I think this is like the first meeting, right?
Yeah.
So he does it in like a suite in the inn, and then he walks in, he's like, greetings, lords, with a nod of his head, and then instantly one of the younger nobles is like, don't pretend everything is fine between us, priest.
Yeah.
And it's said by Idan, which I know Aeon.
No Aeon.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah.
And maybe he's from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Could be. But anyways,
yeah, he says, don't pretend everything is fine. You promised your words would bring power. It appears powerful confusion was the only thing they produced.
And Wraithen's like, well, my speech only baffled one simple-minded girl. You know, it said that she can't remember her right hand from her left, and then turns it back onto Eden and is like, don't tell me like you were confused by that. And so Edom blushes. He's like, of course not. Like, it's just that, like, I've failed to see how conversion will grant me power. That's all.
Yes, and he says, the power, my lord, comes in the perception of your enemy. Yeah. And then it talks about, like, they're just going back and forth, like, Wraithen, like, preaching. But this is the first meeting.
Yes.
And Wraithen doesn't want to get tossed out of Erelon for, like, treason or anything like that. And so he's being very vague in like his promises, and like, so these people are like, will this give me power, you know? Like, they're
very much like, hey, I want a straight answer, and Wraithen's very much like, I'm giving you anything but a straight answer today.
Yes.
And he's kind of, what Wraithen's doing here is he's picking through the weeds to find the nobles that he actually thinks would be useful to try and actually convert and make promises to.
Yes.
So,
and Duke Telri shows up.
Yes.
Wraithen did not invite Duke Telri to this meeting. He only invited like low-level nobles because he thought that's the only people who would show up.
Yeah. So I assume like he just heard of the meeting from another noble or whatever. And we know Telri is very like, he likes to spend, he likes money. I assume he likes power. And so I think Telri is willing to do anything to, you know, further his own ambition.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? That works pretty well with Shudirith.
Yes, it
so
does.
Makes sense why he's here. We get the description of Duke Telri with the purple birthmark on half of his face.
Yes.
So I looked into whether like birthmarks are really a thing to look out for in the Cosmere, and I didn't really find anything.
Okay.
So nothing soup there, but I almost feel like it should. I almost feel like birthmarks would be a perfect thing to be like, oh, watch out for birthmarks because they have some secret meaning. But
interesting.
Nothing I could find there.
Yeah. So then they ask him like, well, who are they then? Who do you perceive as our enemy? And Hrathen's like, the Elantrians. Um, and they respond back like, the Elantrians have been dead for a decade. They are hardly a threat. And Hrathen comes back like, no, they live on. And he's like, if you can call it that. And then Hrathen says, he's like, I'm not talking about the pitiful like
Yeah.
mongrels inside the city.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm talking about the memory of the Elantrians that live on in people's minds, you know?
And he brings up the fact that like some people are waiting for the Elantrians to come back into power. And like you all know that like people believe this is a test from the Elantrians and all of that. And so he goes on to almost make threats.
Yeah, it's not really a threat because he's not saying that he'll overthrow him, but he's basically like, Iadon's rule is far from absolute.
Yeah.
He's more of a regent than a king.
And he's like, all of the power that you guys hold right now is tied to Iadon. Like, without Iadon, you guys have nothing but, you know, your money and your lands.
Yeah.
Which doesn't guarantee you power in the near future.
And he's like, and that will all crumble. A, like, if the Elantrians return, that'll all crumble. But B, like, it's not... Like, people don't see him as a true king because they're waiting. Like, there's so many people here waiting for the Elantrians to return, and so his power will never be absolute while that's going on.
Yeah, and so he goes on to ask, like, if they've visited countries in the East, and, like, basically showing, I have power, and the East has power that's more stable than King Iadon's make-believe you know, court and like all that.
Yeah.
So,
and then another young noble speaks up, Ramier, which I didn't find an Aeon for him either.
Me neither.
Which is fine.
I do want to point out though, when Hrathen's talking about the East, he calls, he says no king ruled east of the Dethreki Mountains unless he professed allegiance to Shu-Dirith, which I said, are these the Atod? What is it? Atod Mountains?
Oh.
Do they just, like, because the...
Yeah, because
Atod is an Aeonic name for him, so, like...
So same way as, like, Sikla and Opilon.
Yeah.
The Dethreki Mountains and the Atod Mountains are probably the same.
The same mountain range. I assume so. And here he goes on to basically say, like, there's no secret that Derethi priests, like, liked being involved in politics.
Yes.
And all that. And I made the connection, blue line connection, that this is very similar to how, the Steel Inquisitors and the Obligators kind of work in the Final Empire. Is they have the power, because in the Final Empire, basically nothing happens within the great houses and everything that doesn't go through an obligator first.
Yeah, like all of their agreements and everything, buying and purchasing land, making contracts, weddings, like all of that has to be run through an obligator.
Yeah, it has to run through the steel... What is it called? The steel.
So I mean, there's there's different cantons.
Yeah.
So you've got like the canton of finance, the canton of inquisition, and different things like that.
Yeah.
Steel ministry.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
I think the steel ministry is just another name for the canton of inquisition.
Okay.
So the steel ministry isn't the entire government. But it's because they're Steel Inquisitors, they've got the spikes, that's the Steel Ministry.
And I almost would then relate, like, the three most famous monasteries to be, like, the Steel Inquisitors, because they dip into the more supernatural powers.
Okay.
Everything. So, kind of same. Like, you have these more religious people. Like the difference in state and church aren't different.
Yeah,
they are samesies.
Yeah,
both here and in the Final Empire. So I just thought that was an interesting connection. That it's like kind of samesies that the Fjordell Empire and the Final Empire are using priests, and because technically the Steel Ministry is a religious institution.
Yes.
So they're using quote unquote priests to like watch over the politics, and then you have like Steel Inquisitors who like is more like the monks of Decor and even the Gjorns and like that are more like feared
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Yep.
Anyways, interesting samesies there.
Yeah. But yeah, so Rainier comes in, he's one of the younger nobles, and he says, enough wordplay, priest.
Yeah.
Like, I want promises. Are you saying that if we convert to Shudireth, you will grant us greater holdings? Very blunt.
Yeah.
Very forward, just like, okay, if we convert to Shudireth, am I going to get more land? Are we going to get more holdings?
Yeah.
Like, straight up. And Hrathen, like, non-committally, he's like, Yadath rewards his followers. Again, because Hrathen doesn't want to be, he doesn't know who in here is actually going to
go talk to Iadon
yeah, exactly.
or join in Hrathen's group.
So he's not going to say anything. He's not going to make any outright promises in this group.
Yeah.
That, yes, if you join Shudireth, like, I will make one of you king,
Yeah. So he's still being pretty vague. And then he's just still pushing. He's like, so how will we be rewarded? When will we be rewarded? All of that. And he goes on to just give more vague answers. And then Raymir's cousin, Warren, speaks up.
Yeah, Wayran, which is
Aerie.
Yeah, Aerie, which is the same
unity.
as Arelon. Unity, cohesion.
He says it will take time to unseat an entire religion and set up a new one in its place. Basically saying they're going to unseat Shu-Korath and put Shu-Direth in its place. Hrathen's like, you would actually be surprised because that's kind of what I did in Duladel not too long ago.
And Duladel had one of the world's oldest religion, and now the only thing remaining of the Duladen religion is the mysteries.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Warren's kind of like, well, Jesker was on its way out anyways. And then Hrathen's like, well, I think Shu-Korath is also on its way out. It used to have a lot more sway in the east, and now you literally just have Arelon and Teod, who still basically have people who believe in Shu-Korath. So just like Hrathen's, even though he's being vague and stuff, he's still very good at this.
Yeah,
you just see his mastery of being able to turn problems into something that's going to help his cause rather than hurt it.
Yeah.
So he's kind of getting Warren. Warren's like, well, yeah, I guess that's true. That's true. And then he goes on to muse on who he'll actually probably invite back.
Yeah.
And Warren's definitely one of them. He's kind of disappointed in, what was the other guy's name?
Rainier?
Yeah, he's kind of disappointed in Rainier because of how easily he was persuaded.
Yeah.
Which, on one hand, he's disappointed because obviously he's easily bought.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But on the other hand, I think he's equally disappointed on just how easy it was because he likes the game and he likes the challenge. So he's closing it out, and then Delof speaks up.
He's like, my lords, I hope you will review my offers with more wisdom than your king. We already know how the king treated him when he invited him to convert.
Yeah.
Says these are difficult times, and those who don't have the church's support will find life harsh in the coming months. Not an outright
he's still being vague.
He's still being vague. That's probably the boldest he got this whole night.
Yeah.
Of those who don't have the church's support will find life harsh in the coming months. Remember who and what I represent.
Mm-hmm.
And then Delof just slides in,
Remember Elantris.
Says Delof hissed from beside Hrathen. Dude, I can just
hear it, dude.
Yeah.
I can just hear it in my mind. And he's basically saying, like, they sleep and they wait. They're clever as always. They wait to capture you, all of you, and drag you into their embrace. You must cleanse the world of them before they cleanse it of you. Which is just like, calm down, D-Love.
Yeah.
No one in Elantris is like planning. Well, actually, Aendon is kind of planning on like invading Erelon. Whether that's a joke or not, whatever.
Yeah.
But no one else in Elantris is really planning on attacking or like getting more Elantrians. It's just not. So yeah, there's an uncomfortable moment of silence, and Hrathen just kind of sits back, crosses his, or like what is this called? Interlocks his hands.
His fingers.
People interlocks his fingers, and people start shuffling out, and then he goes, "Oh, my Lord Telri, a moment, please. I have a special proposal that might be of interest to you." And this is Hrathen basically going to bring up the plan of setting Telri up as the next king.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Hrathen's chapter, and the end of
our triad of chapters.
This week. So now it is time for the Cosmere Question of the Week. Which I think you were pulling it up.
Yep. So I've got it right here. This is by @unholypairs. Says, just finished listening to the first 3 chapters of Elantris. For the question of the day, curious your guys' thoughts on the sleepless ones. Wonder what they are guarding on that one island in Roshar. Now, a couple things here, because we are going to talk a little bit about the sleepless ones, just kind of a base, like what are the sleepless ones?
Yeah.
What kind of do we feel about them? We're not going to outright answer that question of what they're guarding on the island in Roshar.
Yeah.
Because we're assuming that this questioner hasn't read the short story Dawn Shard, because it goes over that. So the island in question is Aemia.
Yep.
And it goes over in the short story Dawn Shard what is being guarded on that island. And so we don't want to. The person who asked this question probably hasn't read that. We don't want to give them a spoiler.
Yes.
So if you don't know what the sleepless ones are guarding on Aemia in the Stormlight Archives on Roshar, go read the short story Dawn Shard. It fits, I think, in between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War.
I think so.
So go read that.
But we will talk about the sleepless, a real base of what they are, real quick. So the sleepless are a sentient or a sapient non-human race. We don't know what planet they're from, but we see them mostly on Roshar.
Yeah.
Is where we get most of our sightings of them. And they're basically swarms of what are called hordlings.
Mm-hmm.
They are multiple little hordlings that come together and they can like look like something else.
Yes.
So they breed specifically for things. It mentions it takes them like 300 years to get a hordling that looks like human fingers.
Okay.
So they basically breed for a specific purpose, and it's just a bunch of these hordlings that come together, and they kind of have like a hive mind.
Right.
And there's multiple different hordes. So we see like not every single hordling is a hive mind. Like they have their own separate hordes.
Yes. So there's different entities of sleepless ones. Every hordling you see is probably tied into a horde, but it's not all one horde.
Right. So kind of a hive mind, but also they can separate, and each individual horde can have its own hive mind.
Yes. And now they do rest, they do sleep, but the reason they call themselves the sleepless is because a part of the horde is always awake. And so they kind of like rotate.
So even if like these 200 hordlings are sleeping, you have another 200 hordlings that are awake and doing stuff. So they're called sleepless because part of the hive mind is always awake.
Yes.
Sort of thing. Now, what do we think of the horde? or the sleepless, because you can kind of say they're one of the secret organizations of the Cosmere.
Almost,
Like,
yeah.
we have the Ghost Bloods, we have the 17th Shard, we have the Sleepless, we have. Is there any more?
Is the 17th shard the one that is in Silverlight? That's the 17th shard, right?
I think that's just specifically the Irie, but
They've
yeah, I think they're part of the 17th Shard. Yes.
okay.
Also like Galadon, for instance, he joins the 17th Shard.
Yeah, and you've got some like more like in world because like you've got what is it?
Oh, like the Sons of Honor.
Yeah, no, Sons of the Dawn, or no, it is called the
Sons of Honor on Roshar are like a secret organization, but they're not
a Cosmere.
Yeah, they're not cosmically aware.
Yeah.
Except for a few members, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think as far as like Cosmere wide, you have Ghost Bloods,
17th
Shard, and the
Sleepless. Yeah.
As like, so.
But I also just don't know that all the Sleepless are working towards a purpose or a goal, or if each of them, you know, like have individual purposes and goals. I don't know how closely they tie into each other. There's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of questions to be answered about the Sleepless, about their motives, about what they're doing. From what we see in Dawn Shard, I think for the most part, we can kind of assume they're working for the good of the Cosmere.
Yes. We know, obviously, we're not going to, we know some of their motives, but go read Dawn Shard if you haven't. Well, I don't think we're going to spoil that short story here, just because we think the person who asked this question probably hasn't read it.
Yeah.
So, we know some of their motives, and I'm going to say like most of the Sleepless we see on screen are part of a bigger organization of them.
Yeah.
So basically what you're going to look out for whenever you're reading is different colored Kremlings. So like on Roshar, it's Kremlings because that's their like bugs.
Yeah.
On Roshar, but like the Sleepless started looking like spiders.
Yeah, when they first came to Roshar, they appeared like spiders, which means I almost assume that they came from the human world with Odium. Like when Odium and the humans came over, I assume, because we know that Shinovar is more closely related to like the human world.
Yeah.
So I think the human world that they came from, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Brace.
Was it?
Ray. Yeah.
I think it's Braze is where the listeners go when they die.
Oh yeah, you're right. But is it not the same?
I don't think it's
Ashen.
Ashen. Yeah, so I assume Ashen is closer related to our world, like as far as like the worlds.
It was the human world.
Yeah. So I assume the Hordelings came over with the humans when the humans and Odium came to Roshar. Yeah. And when they did that, they looked like spiders, but they've adapted to look like Kremlings.
Yeah. So we can know they can basically like adapt to whatever environment they're in. So basically you're just looking for some sort of bug or like small animal that is almost out of place or maybe different colored, because we do know like he says a lot like, oh, this Kremling is vibrantly purple or whatever, when usually they're not. So, and that's a Sleepless.
Yes.
So they're a horde, but they can obviously go off on their little own, you know. They're a group of hordelings, but each hordeling can go off on its own and do like reconnaissance.
Yeah,
essentially.
And we know that they can like be crafted to replicate like inanimate objects.
Yes.
Because at one point, and this is like where my most intrigue kind of from the Sleepless one comes, because at one point Hoyd finds a hordeling that's been impersonating one of his pens, and so he knows that it has overheard all of his plans, and he like talks to Yasna about it because like they've been planning together, and he's like, hey, they probably know. And Hoyd's worried about it.
Yeah.
Like Hoyd is extremely worried that this Hordling has overheard. And so I'm like, again, we don't know Hoyd's full intentions
Yeah.
in relation to the Cosmere. But is he that much opposed? Like if the Hordlings are, because I feel like Hoyd is working for the good of the Cosmere.
Yeah. Do you think that Hordlings or like the Sleepless in general are working for a specific shard? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
That's why he's worried about it. Could be.
Yeah, there's just a lot there. There's too much unknown.
We will learn a lot more about the Sleepless in Mistborn Era 4.
Yeah.
They're going to be a big part of that era. So until then, I don't know if I have any specific like feelings towards them. They're just kind of there.
They're just kind of there.
And
we see a couple of them. We see one on Komashi.
Yumi and the Nightmare Painter world.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the female night painters is a Sleepless.
Yeah.
And we see like some interaction between her and Design and see like her being, you know, we can tell that she is one of the Sleepless.
Yeah. So it's really fun. It's another one of those things where you just like, you're looking out for it in the Cosmere. So with your reads, as you're in the Cosmere, just look out for like interesting bugs or people that have a lot of scars sometimes, because like maybe the Hordlings don't match up as well. So they hide it by, like having scars in the skin.
Not Kelsier though. Not Kelsier.
Kelsier. We see a person in the war camp, in Dalinar's war camp. No, in Sadius's war camp. The guy that Kaladin buys like medicine and bandages from.
Oh.
They say he's described as having very rough skin, almost like there's chasms in his face. That's really? A Sleepless.
Is it?
I'm 98% sure.
Interesting.
Because that's like how they hide not replicating skin very well.
Huh.
Is like it looks like they have a bunch of scars because it's like rigid and like. Anyways.
Yeah.
That's our 2 cents. I don't know how many cents we actually gave there.
Yeah, probably like a cent and a half, maybe.
That's what we think.
Yeah.
No opinion, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're fun to look out for in the Cosmere. So
yeah. And again, go read the short story Dawn Shard and then come back and we'll talk more about it.
Yep.
And we'll get more into them when we do Dawn Shard.
Yeah.
And we'll do a lot more research and like.
Yeah, there's some actually really fun stuff with the Sleepless, but that's all we have for you guys this week. If you want your question answered by me and Jax or theorized by me and Jax, go ahead, leave a comment wherever you're listening, leave a review, and we'll get to it when we can.
Yep. Jax, and make sure to go follow us on Instagram, TikTok. All of our short form content is going to be coming out there. We'll be posting clips of our Cosmere questions of the week and just fun little short clips. So follow us over there as well.
Yeah. And join us next time as we dive into the Copper Mine. That's a wrap.